Hello, this is the August video chat with fans. And for people on YouTube, I kind of wish these weren't recommended by YouTube because I've heard that they can, some people, even if you're subscribed to somebody, you don't always get all their videos. I wish YouTube would not send these videos to people, instead send like Game Dungeon or Freeman's Mind or something. But I don't know if there's a way to even put these up without them being recommended and be public. So sorry in advance if you're getting recommended this. Don't watch these if you're being recommended. Watch the other stuff on the channel. Okay, so let's see. I have several announcements this time, and then I'll get to questions. Let's see. I guess first is more videos are coming. I don't want to get too specific because I have a real minor surprise for one of them. I will say though that it's either going to be the next video or the one after the next video will be Freeman's Mind, because for sure I got to get more of those out. But there's a couple of technical things going on with that I have to sort out, and there's another video I really want to make. So the other one will be a little bit more of a surprise. But Freeman's Mind's coming soon as I can through the whole chain of how things are produced here. Some updates. Oh yeah, so I guess I have a update on the game list and disclosure. For full disclosure, there's still no money involved with the game list, but this was told to me pretty much when the video was getting close to completed. GOG got back to me, so there's a real unofficial sort of kickback now from them where, because I'm linking to them, and if people end up buying games from them, that helps them. I do get some free games from them now. It's completely unofficial. There's no set number. There's no contract. Nothing I signed. But I thought I'd mention that in the interest of disclosure. But it doesn't really affect anything because I want to say like something like 2/3 of the games on the list aren't even on GOG. So all it affects that if I give a game link, then I'll prioritize GOG. That's it. That's all it impacts. Let's see. There are some updates. Oh yeah, some updates on the game list. You can leave comments now underneath them. I meant to launch with that, but that wasn't. I guess there was just some communication breakdown, but I was just happy to get the list out. Let's see. Well, I'll talk about more of it. I think this is one of the first questions I have, so I'll talk more about that in a minute for the game list. Oh, since I don't mind doing promotions on the video chats here, one of the main sound editors for Freeman's Mind, William Smith, Otto Bumelberg's the main other one. It just sort of alternates between who's more available. He's been working on another game called Tower Unite. It's on Steam. I think it's still in early access. So I don't mind giving him a plug for that. He's the sound designer, and he did some of the music for it. It's, to describe it, okay, my initial impression is it's sort of like one of these kind of like hub game areas where you connect online and meet other people, but then you can kind of explore around and go to different areas to do kind of mini games or smaller games. Like it sort of reminds me of like a modern day version of something like Imagination Network from Sierra, or like a modern day version would be sort of like Oasis from what is it, Ready Player One, though I'm pretty sure that'd be overselling it. I haven't followed it that much. I think they do have a first person shooter thing and some race things. It has a mini golf thing, and the mini golf thing looked competent to me. I tried another mini golf game for, I think it was something Vertigious Golf or something, and that one didn't quite grab me. And this one, the mini golf in this one looked better to me, so for my taste. So that's about as much of a plug as I can give for it, but I don't mind doing that because he's helped me on a bunch of episodes, with Freeman's Mind especially. And other announcements. Oh yeah, this is sort of a follow-up, because I've gotten this question a few times. Other YouTubers I follow or recommend. I have two to add since last video chat. One, yeah, this is it's been years since this has happened where YouTube recommended a video to me that I hadn't heard of the person at all. I watch it and yeah, I definitely liked it. Internet etiquette, yeah, internet comment etiquette. I recommend that channel from what I've seen so far. The video that got recommended to me was "Don't Drink Bleach," and that was right up my alley. So I can recommend that. And the other one is Civvie 11. He does sort of game reviews kind of similar to what I do. And I'll say he actually made me a little jealous because he's covered a game I was intending on covering for Game Dungeon, but now I'm going to have to watch through it. And I don't know if he just hits, I skimmed it a little bit. I was thinking, geez, this might be better than what I was going to do. So I'm not going to say which game yet, so you can try to guess. He also covered another game on there, which I'm definitely going to cover. He covers a lot of first-person shooters. And I'll definitely go ahead because I watched his and he talks about just completely different stuff than I would have. So that's fine. It'll be quite complimentary to what I have planned. And that one may be the next Game Dungeon after the follow-up episode. So that's a more well-known game. But I definitely have things to say and barely any of it was in his video, so that'll be perfect. So that kind of shows my thought processes for these. Like if I feel like somebody else just nailed it and I just have almost nothing to offer, it makes me want to move on to another game. But if it's a well-known game and they say just totally different things than I would, then great. You know, then that means I have plenty of things to say too. So you can try and guess which one I'm not sure I want to cover now because that one's a little less well-known. The one I'm not sure if I want to cover, I'll have to see. And which one I'm definitely going to cover and is more well-known. Let's see. And yeah, here's just a general question for the audience. At some point, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it this month, but you know, I'm still on my quest to find a system to organize soundtracks. And I thought I might make like some of that a live event, you know, where I could just get on streaming. I play like a sample for 20 or 30 seconds and then just see what the audience thinks about it. The problem is this kind of scares me because on Twitch, that probably wouldn't be that big a deal, but it could just mute the audio or something if even though this is 100% a fair use thing that I'd be doing, because I wouldn't be playing the entire song. This is literally just a session where we're just discussing game music and just decide, okay, well, when would you want to listen to this music? Or, you know, how would you categorize this? It might trigger the copyright bots and get it muted. But what I'm more concerned about is if I put that up on YouTube later, look, I can handle a copyright claim that is fair use that I can fight. I don't know, but if I did something like this, I might get 10. And I don't know, and that could just shut down the channel, or maybe. So, yeah, you know, because if it's a fake copyright claim where, no, they're in the wrong, it's just some bot or some trigger-happy attorney coming after me, even though it's entirely fair use, yeah, I can go through the hoops and fight that. But if it's just all at once, I don't know. So if anyone has recommendations for that, I could try to pick some stuff that's like more off the beaten path that never got an official soundtrack to begin with. But if anyone has advice on how to handle that, then maybe I could. That's my main hang up on doing that, because I would like to get audience feedback. But if you don't want to wait, you can always email me about this, rosswscott@gmail.com. I can send you my notes of where I am so far, and you can give me your suggestions. Not for music to check out. I mean, you can always do that, but how you would handle sorting some of these tracks. Because I'm trying to come up with, basically my end goal is to come up with a system where once I've decided how I want to sort the music, I can just kind of put it in a general category, hit random play, and then all the music's sort of going to go together by the kind of the mood or the tone, that sort of thing. That's the end goal. So, but yeah, if you don't want to wait and you just want to see everything I will be talking about, yeah, I can send that to you. So, okay, so now I'll get to questions. If you have live chat questions, I guess save them for the end. Or if you're gonna have to leave early, you can just post them, and maybe somebody else can repost them at the end later. I don't know. Okay, yeah. So let me get the questions, which I'm not set up for. 1 minute. I browsed over some of these. Some of these I may not have answers. Oh yeah, and if the chat would be kind enough to just spam me with the number 12 once I've got, because I try to like get the size of these chats down to like a little bit shorter when I can, but so after the 12th question, I'll just sort of pick and choose for myself. The 12 before that, I'll address all of them unless it's something I really don't want to cover, but that's usually pretty rare. But even then, I acknowledge what the question is and, tell you it's not something. Okay, yeah, so now we're going to go back to stuff I'm probably going to talk about anyway. Now that the list is out, do you think it's been a success in achieving what you wanted it to achieve? Definitely. A video like that was one where I knew some people were just going to be like, all right, a curator's list, what's the big deal? Skip, and that's fine. Whereas other people, I got the feeling at least a minority of viewers were going to see that and just be like, oh my God, look at all these games, and kind of get some of that same excitement I have about it. And that's kind of who it was targeted for, I think, more than anyone else. Just, you've heard of all these, you've heard of all these games that kind of get the gaming press just kind of shows you and repeats and repeats and repeats, and it just crowds out this other promising stuff. So and this is a way to just kind of browse through and just realize, there's a lot of other stuff you might like out there. So that was my main goal. However, there's plenty of room for improvement on it. Okay, somebody's oh yeah, somebody's talking about bugs. Okay, so the one thing, I'm totally willing to make revisions to it. However, one thing you have to understand is I did not program this, and this almost did not happen. There were complications with, like, I knew from the beginning when I wanted to revise the website that I wanted to have this. And the guy who helped manage that for me, who's not the person who did the main programming on this, the I forget how to pronounce his name. He's the one who did most of the programming. So the guy who managed this, who wanted to remain nameless, and I guess I don't blame him, he told me, like, this new this web code base was going to be great. It said should be no problem at all to do the game list. So I was thinking, all right. So then later, earlier this year, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I'm getting closer to doing the game list. I'm going to make a video on it and have volunteers helping out on it. That's when he says, oh yeah, like, okay, well, I'll have to see. That's going to be a lot of work. That could take months. It's like, wait, what, months? You told me this is going to be easy. I mean, not putting in the entries in, I was prepared to do all that manually, but just the framework for being able to have like a list and some screenshots. And apparently it was just like trying to make a square peg in a round hole, getting that to work. So, and it ended up being a lot of extra time for the guy who actually did most of the work on it. So I hate this. This guy, he's really competent, but he has a bad habit of doing this where he'll say something that this should be great, and I'll tell him what I need, but then it doesn't really register in his brain until later, and then it's, no, this was not what we needed. But so while I'm open to many features or new additions to the game list, I can't promise a thing on it because I'm not the one coding it. So, and I mean, like, if the main guy who helped program the game list, if he had just disappeared on me, that would have set the game list back months. So it's, because then I have to find another person that makes sure it works with like the security features for the site and everything like that. So, but yeah, okay, here's some ideas. You guys need to let me, when this goes up on YouTube especially, you can thumbs up comments related to this. If you have to let me know more what you want to see from the game list. The only thing I'm going to stick to my guns on is I want these sort of promising underdogs to retain visibility. So we can kind of restructure how that's done. Like maybe we should have another category for games that almost make the list, and then that could be a separate thing that you click on, so you can kind of see what didn't. So stuff like The Messenger or A Night in the Woods would be on the almost list, or some others that just didn't quite make it for me, but look like promising games that other people would want to know about. Let's see. Oh yeah, here, you can vote on this right now. Assuming we can change it and I get a hold of him and he doesn't disappear on me, I'm thinking we might want to change how the games are displayed, because there's 3 things I'm thinking of. Like, one would just be to see the most recent published game. However, when we entered in all the games, we're just putting the year. So a game that was released in January might still stay at the top above a game that was released in November. So, I mean, maybe we could adjust that, but then that's more work for the people helping me, put the entries up. Because the main thing I'm doing is picking out the games and writing down the title. I mean, I ended up putting several entries up on there, but the vast majority were by the volunteers you saw in the video, Tomas and Choco Portals. Like, they help hunt down the links, find the year, like he'll put the genre, find the screenshots, that sort of thing. And then we had that on a big spreadsheet and then imported that. Though I was prepared to do it manually if I had to. But yeah, I can keep writing down titles, or if it's a game that's not on the list, I can give a sentence or two explaining why, that sort of thing. So one, that might be an option, to have like a distinguishing thing for a month in it. I don't think we'd have to do that for all the games, maybe just for the current year, that sort of thing. So that's one option, so that the most recent game that's out, not early access stuff, but stuff that's out, appears on the list first. Another would be just have random be the default option. So every time you go in, it's going to be a different array of things. That should be a lot easier, I think. Even then, the random controls don't work exactly how I want it, but that's, you know what, that was a secondary thing. We have something resembling random on the list, so good enough, In order to improve that requires coding work, and I can't do that. So it might be, you get what you get sort of thing. And the third option I was thinking, which I didn't want to launch with, but might be okay now, would be just the newest games that make the list. So even though it could be a game from 2004 or something like that, it wasn't on the list earlier, now it's on the list, and you know that, and that'll be the most recent one. So let me know which of those systems appeal the most to you guys, and that can be the new default. So maybe, well, the one by month, maybe not, but the other two, random order, like you can select that now, actually, on the list. Like if you hit sort by, like the newest added or just random. But let me know like which of those you'd like to see as like the default option. I can add that. And for stuff that's like almost on the list, or maybe a separate list for soundtracks for games I have no intention of playing, or maybe another distinguisher where the soundtrack sounded promising to me from the trailer, that sort of thing. We can maybe add that, but again, no promises on that because that takes more coding work. So, okay, so somebody's saying the gamesdb.net is a good example. Okay, well, I'll look up and see how they do it, but yeah, let me know what you prefer. Just random order so it's different each time you come back, or newest added, because I've added a few games since then. Like just a handful. Because, yeah, some people were complaining that certain games were on the list. Some I just forgot about, and some I just haven't gotten around to yet. I'd say older games especially, I have not nearly put all the ones I meant to on the list. So, yeah, okay, it looks like we have a vote for newest added so far. So, yeah, especially if you want to make a comment like this on YouTube, just thumbs up the style you want to see or something like that. Let's see. Or maybe I can make a poll or something later. Okay, so, oh yeah, before I get to the next question, something I forgot. There may be a bit of a delay in the next video. I got to get more done on the movie, man. I've spent a good chunk of this week just catching up on emails, and I'm still not caught up, though I caught up on hundreds. So I'm going to try and pace myself more on that, because I want to say this past year, maybe a year and a half, I've just been neglecting so many emails. I'm just like, oh, I'll get to this later. Got to make more videos. Got to make more videos. Got to make more. That's just been like the order of the day. It's just more videos, more videos. So unfortunately, a lot of stuff has fallen by the wayside. Yeah, Mode 7 is mentioning, I saw his email. He was recommending, he was recommending 1.0 Fortress Forever, which I have a copy of, but maybe I don't need to reply to him now. But yeah, if your email got neglected, that's why. And if you feel like it's something that's really kind of time sensitive, you can give me another reply. So you don't have to worry about that. Though, if it's something more casual, let me get around to it. I'll give an announcement when I'm more caught up on emails. So, okay, next question. Ross, what do you think about the Switch port of the original Doom requiring a Bethesda.net account to play, even though the original version is easy to find on PC? Do you think this will become a trend of older games being ported to consoles and the port jobs being games as a service requiring a central server connection? Yeah, as people mentioned, they reversed that pretty quickly because they probably did the math that, gee, maybe the PR backlash of requiring this on a 25-year-old game that we're giving out for free, or maybe no, maybe they didn't give it out for free on Switch. I'm not sure. They give out some version of it for free, maybe a mobile or something. Is it worth it? Okay, we'll undo that. I think it shows just where their minds are at. I mean, it's becoming an epidemic. I mean, and the thing is, I don't even care that much about the requirement in and of itself, like in a vacuum, because that's just an annoyance to me. It's like, all right, you gotta be online, so I guess I'm not playing this game if I'm offline or if I lose internet or something like that. But and for Doom itself, of course, Doom's in no danger of dying. So, but that mentality is so incredibly harmful for every other game where you can't back it up, And I mean, Doom's already backed up. There's no problem there. But that mentality carries over, and then companies are irresponsible with how they handle games as a service. From the video, about 97% of the time? In fact, I need to correct that. I think somebody told me like the game Perpetuum handled it the right way. So at some point, the games as a service video is going to get a follow-up. It's still it's lower priority than the other videos, but that's going to come at some point. Almost certainly not this month, though. But, and it's like the longer this goes on, the worse it's going to get. And I'm not going to mention him by name because I don't want to embarrass him, but one developer came out, initially he was pretty hostile to me, but then he understood my position better, and then he really warmed up to the idea. I was surprised. I totally changed his mind on it from replying to the email because he thought I was just utterly misguided and everything. I think he had different perceptions about what I was saying. Because I'm basically saying, no, run your game any way you want. It's just that when you're ready to end support, have an end-of-life plan in place. And hey, tell the public that, You can do it any way you want so that there's a chance, there's a reasonable chance your game's not going to die forever once you're done supporting it. Because that's the message. That's the main message. Because he thought I was saying, no, there should be no games as a service at all or whatsoever. It's like, no, there's plenty of reasons to have it. It's just that once you're done with it, but anyway, he mentioned in his email that, to me, that he had never heard anybody saying what I was saying before. And that's really discouraging. Like, to me, it's just so obvious. Like, I actually held the assumption that if you're a developer, well, to be fair, I think he was more of a manager of like a smaller game studio. But if you're a developer, if you know how to make games as a service, you're aware of how this stuff works and that it's not going to work once you're done supporting it, unless you take steps to change that. So yeah, feel free to repeat this message, man. Like, just again, like, if you're doing games as a service, you friggin' need an end of life plan. The end. That's just kind of, otherwise you're part of the problem. That's the easiest way to put it. You're part of the problem. And I kind of want to hold bigger developers more accountable because they're setting the standard that everybody kind of sees, But yeah, that's the message. If you're doing this without an end of life plan, then you're part of the problem. So, and try to not be part of the problem. But so yeah, it's for Doom. It's no big deal, but again, it shows where their minds are at. Like, again, we had a developer who just never heard of this. This never occurred to them. And that's going to be happening more and more in management because they don't care. I mean, some developers do, but, well, a lot, I'd say most developers do, but the management of developers, yeah, a lot of them just don't care. It's just numbers, And so it's no big deal in that case, but it kind of shows where their minds are at. So, and somebody in the chat has eggplant coloring on their name. I like that. It has like a dark purple background and light green text. That one guy, 1, 2, 3, 4. I like the eggplant coloring there. Okay. Oh yeah. You've mentioned having an extensive music library, and I dig your music taste. Would you mind sharing it? Doesn't have to be anything sophisticated. Maybe just print screening your folder so no time is spent on typing out the list. This is something where this is a yes and no answer I'm going to give you. I'm totally willing to do this. However, I'm just hung up on wanting to sort my music, man. And a lot of it's just a mess where I've just been kind of gathering the music and kind of saving it for later to go through and see what I want to keep and what I don't. Because like I'll delete songs, even if they're like all from the same album or something. If I don't like the song, I'll delete it. I just keep the stuff I like. So it's such a mess right now. It's like somebody saying, like, oh, they want to visit you, but your place is a wreck. And even if they say they don't care, you care. So I'm afraid I'm going to hold that hostage until I figure out the game sorting system. And when I do make the game sorting system, I'll make a video on it. Don't worry. Like sort of what I've come up with. I feel like I'm halfway there, but man, it's the problem. It's not really a software problem. It's just sort of a music philosophy problem. Like what's the system we want to use for sorting stuff? Because there's just so little attention is paid to that for soundtracks. Like I can do that for anything that's not a soundtrack. But once we get in the soundtrack, it's such a wide and diverse world of music that the industry it doesn't care. It's just like, okay, genre, soundtrack, done, all done, mood, soundtrack, all done, and like, so it's worthless. So I'm on a soundtrack quest, man. So I'm afraid I'm going to hold that hostage, but I will release that once I figure out the system. I mean, a system that works for me, that people are welcome to give input on. So, okay, let's see. Besides the turn-based combat games that you said you made it through, are there any other games with traits you're biased against that you were able to play through and enjoy anyways? Yeah, probably a few. Let's see. Okay, well, hey, one of the game dungeons coming up, it goes against one of my biases. I'll say that, and I enjoyed it. So you'll find out what that one is relatively soon. Let's see what's another. Okay, so I mean, it depends on the bias. Like turn-based combat, man, it's a rough one for me because that one's the roughest for me because there's plenty of turn-based combat games I'm just 100% on board with thematically. Like I like the theme, like I like this setting and the plot premise and everything. Oh, I'm interested in this game, and oh my god, I don't want to do this grind of the combat there. I'm trying to think of others. Like, I'm not huge into sort of the. I guess there can be exceptions. Well, I have a few exceptions on the list, like ones that have more of the sort of cutesy, like JRPG style. Like on the list, I think I haven't played it yet, but I'd be willing to give it a shot. I think it's like Gleaner Heights because like I think by day it's basically Harvest Moon is my understanding, and then by night it's like you have all these dark conspiracies going on. Like it sounds like some of it's Twin Peaks stuff, or there might be like cult activity or murders, that sort of thing. So it's like I like that contrast. I enjoy the, like if you have kind of a cutesy looking game, but then like horrible things can happen in it. I sort of enjoy that contrast. I think on the list there was another one. It was like I don't even remember of it. I think it had death in the name, and it sort of felt like. Oh my gosh, it sort of felt like Final Destination, the game, where you're essentially you're playing as, it's all this like overly happy, cheerful little people, and you're trying to manipulate. It's like a puzzle game or a strategy thing where you're trying to manipulate these sort of Rube Goldberg style deaths that occur, and then chaos breaks out, and they all start running around. So I enjoy that sort of thing. Okay, somebody's saying he finds it hilarious that there's Pathfinder Kingmaker on the list. Okay, so that one may be, yeah, that one may be overly turn-based and I just haven't done the research on it. Yeah, see, yeah, that may happen. If I make an almost list, I may move over a bunch of these turn-based games to the almost category because they're ones that would just, like, I think, what, Halcyon 6 or something is like that, where it's just like, man, this looks like something I would want to play, but I just don't like the sit and wait fight combat style. In combat, man, I just like my guys to just run in there and let's start fighting, or let's do this tactically. Okay, you get there. Okay, step. Oh, they're firing. Okay, run there. Run. I like the battle to just go down. I want it to. I don't like the long kind of sit. Okay, now you aim at that guy. Now, okay, sit, wait. Now you aim at that. I just no. Let's go. We're fighting. Let's go. I mean, I like tactics. I like strategy, but I like the sort of the rush from the combat. So it's turn-based doesn't do that. Turn-based stuff feels like a chore for me. I mean, it doesn't mean those games are bad. It just means it's not for me, man. It's okay, let's see what's. Yeah, because I'm sure there's tons of stuff. If I had an almost list, that would be on there. Because I tend to sort of filter those out, but I could go back and look at my notes and probably come up with a lot more. But yeah, there's not a lot. I mean, I kind of meant what I said about the list. Let's see, what else were the biases that I had on there? Oh yeah. This game that I'm gonna cover has two entries that are on my biased against, but I still like the game. So I won't say which ones, I guess, or maybe well, okay, yeah, okay. I'll tell you which ones. You can try and guess what the game is. It's gonna have the two I'm thinking of is it really does lean towards the rote memorization stuff where you gotta know what's coming in order to really get through it. And it's definitely desert heavy. I'll say that. Okay, so those are the two biases on a game that's coming up at some point. Coming up relatively soon, so you can try and guess which game that is. So it has deserts and rote memorization certainly helps. In fact, it's mandatory for part of it. So, okay, let's see. Okay. Oh shoot. Yeah, this shows how prepared I am for the questions. Somebody's saying I have not seen the Black Mesa Zen trailer. I saw screenshots of it a while back. If you have seen it, what do you think of it? I haven't seen it, but I saw the screenshots. So that was before the trailer. It looked pretty neat. Again, Half-Life is kind of burned in my head now, so I probably won't appreciate that as much as everyone else. But it's you know, um, I kind of feel like there should be two measurements because, how long has the game been in development? Because, Zen's part of Half-Life. So when that comes out, then we can finally clock it as to like when it was announced to when it finally came out, And that's not a knock against them at all, by the way, because, the Source Engine's a bastard. I mean, it's so, but it's also going to be a benchmark for me because I've got to get the movie out faster than the Black Mesa team took to make Black Mesa. I absolutely have to get, because that's going to be like a thing of pride for me if I no way I'm letting it come out slower than Black Mesa. So, I mean, I'd like to outperform them by a healthy margin as far as how long it took me to make the movie versus how long it took them to make Black Mesa. So, yeah, the clock's still going as far as I'm concerned, but they'll be wrapping it up. Once we have Zen, once we have a real ending, then sure. But yeah, I think it's cool that they're revising Zen. So make it more alien, have more stuff in there. I mean, okay, let's see. Are all potential Game Dungeon games on the list on the website, or are you keeping some of those secret for now? Yeah, I am. No, they're definitely not all on the list because a lot of older ones just aren't on there because I just didn't get to it yet. And I want to get the list out. I want to, give people something to get interested in. So a few ones are secret that are more common games. And here's the other thing. There's a lot of games for Game Dungeon that I don't know if I want to put those on the list because the list is for games that I think have promise, and from what I've seen, I feel like I can recommend that this is at least worth looking into. Whereas some of these Game Dungeon games, it's like, you know what? I don't think I should really recommend this to people. Like, I'm going to need the hazard suit to go into this for a Game Dungeon. So it's like, like I'm kind of making this list so that people have a good time, if they find something they want and show it, that I think has some promise. Like I saw a bunch of comments saying, "Oh, Ross, maybe you should take We Happy Few off the list," and like, "Oh, that sucks." Like, I'm too intrigued. So even if, like, I almost refuse to believe that We Happy Few is so bad that there's just no redeeming value in it. I was too intrigued by that trailer, man. So I can believe it has a lot of problems, but to be so bad it's just completely irredeemable, no, I've got to go in there and see for myself. So some game, also there were a lot of games on the list that I kept off the list because on Steam they had like a mostly negative or like overwhelmingly kind of negative review. And I thought, okay, if the public in general is saying that this is pretty bad, I may still be curious about it for myself, but I don't want to subject everyone else to that. So maybe that could be kind of a separate list you have to go out of your way to click on also. I don't know. So, yeah, I will say there are some games that might be future Game Dungeons on the list, but what makes a really fun and enjoyable game may not necessarily make a great Game Dungeon episode. So it just depends. But no, the list is absolutely biased towards stuff. The list is stuff I'm seeing that even if I didn't have this YouTube channel or make videos or Game Dungeon or anything, this is stuff that I would have still made this list. It wouldn't have been nicely presented the same way, but I would still have that text file list. Like, yeah, I want to try this out. I mean, so that's what the list is. This is stuff that just, yeah, it appeals to me, man. Like something about it grabbed me and I want to give this a shot. And I would like to know more. So, and again, even in cases where some people think it shouldn't be on the list, no, I'm too intrigued. I've got to see for myself. So, because not every game is like that. In fact, a whole ton of games are not like that, where everybody says it's terrible. Hey, yeah, the game looks terrible to me too. Like, yeah, so I believe you. Yeah, like what was that one everybody's talking about? Like Hunt Down the Freeman or something? Or yeah, if everybody says the game's bad and doesn't appeal to me, then sure, not on the list. you know. And if everyone says the game is bad, but it's still something about it still appeals to me, then your vote sort of outweighs it from going on the list, and that just remains on sort of a secret text file for me. Like I have a list that I had like a don't recommend list that I put ones I'm like, maybe there's something in it that I kept. I might still want to check out. So okay, let's see. Do you ever go out by yourself without Magda? Wondering how well you've acclimated to Poland and how much you've learned the language, or the lack thereof is hindering getting independence. You have to do things when you need to. Yeah, I go out all the time. Language, it's just, I keep thinking back to the Tick, the cartoon show came out late in the 90s. There's this great scene where he visits this dinosaur park, dinosaur bones park, like tar pit fossils, that sort of thing. And he's saying, "Wow, I've learned so many interesting things today." And then he clutches it. It's like, "No, if I could just retain it," That's how I am with Polish, man, or just foreign languages in general. It's like the problem is I just gotta throw the time at just learning more words and phrases. But it's like the bigger the deal it is, like let's say registering at the immigration office or getting something worked out with like taxes or, then yeah, I definitely need her help. But I'm getting good enough at like simple things, I can go to the grocery and get food or I go out pretty much every day to exercise, and most of the time it's just not with me for that. But and a surprising number of people ask me for directions. I guess they have an approachable look to me. Like I've had a lot, but look, I've had more people come up to me for directions in Poland than I have in the United States. So sometimes I can communicate to them. I'd say most of the time I can communicate enough. Like I can figure out, they want to get to the train station or they're looking for the mall or something. As I can just kind of, I know, like straight left, prosto, levo, bravo. I can give, or I can point at things to try to help out. I can tell them I don't speak Polish in Polish and ask if they speak English in English. I mean, in Polish. So I still have a long ways to go in language. That's going to be an ongoing thing for me. But yeah, as for independence, it's kind of funny. Magda's mentioned before how I've taken her places just if we want to go for a walk that she never even knew existed, and she's just kind of like, she's just sort of stunned because she's claimed that I somehow know the city more better than she does because I went out and just explored a bunch of areas. Like I mentioned in the Cave World saga, that how I would have found that place within a month tops. Like absolutely, I would have learned the entire surrounding area within a month, and it just probably gotten farther and farther out till I kind of hit my limits. But yeah, there's no way I wouldn't have found that secret dragon city within, I mean, yeah, a month. Because I might be checking other directions first. Or that one would have discouraged me a little bit, like, the bridge is down. I'm gonna have to come back here and climb up, or get some climbing gear, or get some boards and do a makeshift repair of the bridge, that sort of thing. But so yeah, I still go out quite a bit, but I mean it's a limitation. But that might be why I know food's probably better than anything else as far as the language in Polish, because I guess that came into play a lot more. So, Ross, what do you think of film noir? Any favorite movies in this category? I'm actually not that big into film noir. I know some people really love it, but I don't know. The style just never really grabbed me. So, but there can still be good movies in the style. Of course, Blade Runner's up there, but I guess Blade Runner is sort of cheating because it's film noir and it's a gigantic sci-fi spectacle that, you know, in a science fiction plot and that's the part that appeals to me more with it. But I guess for classic film noir, I haven't seen a ton, but I guess, you know, The Maltese Falcon is a classic along those lines. I remember that being pretty good. Let's see. Oh, okay, well, again, this is another sort of cheat film noir. If it counts, Sin City is fun. I mean, there's also some, you know, kind of over-the-top comic book, gritty crime action going on. It's in Sin City, but that one's, you know, I'm a soundtrack nut, so sometimes when I feel like I have like kind of not necessarily overwhelming odds, but let's say I have a lot of stuff to pull off in like a short amount of time, and just I have an overwhelming amount of work, but I'm determined to do it. Sometimes I get that sort of theme for Merv in my head. You know, it's like dun 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 dun, and like, and then the sax comes in. Like I'll just kind of get in that state of mind. Because, you know, when I saw that, I felt like, it was either Marv or Merv, I forget. I felt like he's somebody who's not easily discouraged. He's going to power through and get things done. So it's like, I could sort of relate to that aspect of it. Yeah, you know, I think I've seen it, but I forgot it. Or maybe I only saw part of it. Maybe I'll have to check it out. Again, there's another cheat category for film noir. I think it's called Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. It has Steve Martin in it. And I think it's one where they took, I'm not sure, I might be mixing things up. I think they took a lot of classic scenes from other movies and just sort of like wove them into the same movie like that he was following up. So, I mean, yeah, it's a comedy, but it has that kind of film noir style from what I remember. But yeah, I guess my favorite film noir is stuff where like the world itself is also kind of fantastic too. So if it's like a cyberpunk film noir, okay, that warms me up more to it. Or yeah, you know, a dark fantasy kind of film noir or a comedy thing. Yeah, like this one, I'm not sure it's film noir, but I friggin' love the movie. It might sort of not be close enough. Movie Payback, you know, with Mel Gibson. It's like a crime kind of comedy thing. I just found that movie hilarious. Like, yeah, it's like a crime action kind of dark comedy movie. I was laughing hard at that movie, but it has that kind of like gritty kind of film noir-ish style a bit. It has a touch of that. So, yeah, Payback. I love that one. That's another. That was another real distinctive soundtrack too. Like yeah, I love the opening music to that because it's like it has that feel of somebody who's just like, you know, you get the feeling this guy is really determined. And I like that. I can kind of relate to characters like that, you know, that they're going to get things done no matter what the resistance is. And I can definitely get in that state of mind on some things. It's like, dun, dun. Well, you don't need to tune in to hear me do a poor job imitating the theme. But yeah, the Payback theme has that kind of driving feel to it. So let's see. So I'm saying if you can get it to work, 1187 is good. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I know THX 1138 is, but that was not really film noir. That's just sort of sci-fi. But it's probably different. That's what happens when I occasionally glance up at the conversation. I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, they're talking about Half-Life 2 mods, and somebody else mentioned Max Payne the movie. I enjoyed the Max Payne the game. Okay, well, that's another cheat again. I enjoy Max Payne, absolutely. The original. I haven't played the third one. The first, but again, that's like great over the top action. But that's the movie. I thought was just weak, to be honest. But the games, they're fun, you know. And it's like it combines the film noir, but they're having fun with it too. And you have just completely awesome action. And plus, I think I like the film noir that's well, I say this like there's been a bunch of stuff like this, but I don't know. I guess with Max Payne, he's using this sort of sad and somber tone of that. He's using that to kind of as an excuse to just break free and just go after something, and I like that aspect. I like that more than the subdued kind of. I mean, I can enjoy subtle stuff too, but for film noir specifically, I think I want something else kind of bolstering it up. And I remembered another one that this one might qualify as film noir. Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans with Nicolas Cage. That's one where it definitely has like a sort of surreal comedy aspect to it. And you get and I feel like that's a movie where Nick Cage was not, he didn't hold back. I feel like he really got to I think Nicolas Cage is one of these actors where he's at his best when he's just completely off a leash and he just gets to go nuts. Because I think he's enjoyable enough when he's not like that, but like I think he's at his best. You see his best acting when he's just like nuts. So and he has a character like that he's just like trying to keep under control. So that's fun. See, somebody's saying they made a sequel to Bad Lieutenant. Yeah, I've seen the original too. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a sequel. It's just sort of like a weird reboot, I guess, or I don't know. It's not really. It's a spiritual successor, is what I would call it, to the original Bad Lieutenant. It's not a sequel, but similar tone. I actually think I might like the newer one better, the one with Nicolas Cage. So. Okay, so I should keep moving on. Let's see. If you had to deal with one movie, game, zombies, what would you pick and why? Oh, geez. Was there any game you wanted to make a video of, but it didn't provide enough entertainment for you or the viewer to publish? I can't remember because it's like if I want to make a video of a game, there's usually a lot of reasons behind it that I really want to show this off or say some things that maybe people might find entertaining. So for me to kind of want to make a game dungeon out of a game, that means it's probably already past the filter. Whereas if I'm thinking, well, that was an enjoyable game, but it doesn't make me want to make a video out of it, then it probably was an excellent choice. So I can't think of any like that. And which zombies would I want to deal with? Well, for starters, we gotta have slow ones. So I guess, I mean, come on, who wants to? I love that line in the Dawn of the Dead remake, where they're talking about the gun shop owner who's talking to them from the roof. It's like he may as well be on the moon, So we want slow zombies. I guess we want ones that are not super virulent, So ones where we want to make sure this stuff's not airborne. I guess I'd say either the classic Romero zombies, like Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead. The Walking Dead ones aren't bad either. They're slow and you can kind of get around them. Because I guess that's what I like about zombie movies is the slow ones, it's more of like an existential threat. It's more subtle and subdued. Whereas the fast ones, it's like kind of thriller, kind of action sort of threat. Now, I think they can both be good, but I like the subtle aspect of the slow ones. But if I have to deal with them myself, you bet I want the slow ones because I don't want to. Yeah, I guess the absolute worst ones to deal with might be Return of the Living Dead. Because, you shot them in the head, so what? And they run, and they can talk, and try to trick you, and like... Yeah, those would probably be like and if you burn them, like the ashes may spread. Yeah, those would be the absolute worst ones to deal with, I think. Return of the Living Dead. So, that would be just a nightmare. Okay, but yeah, best are probably the ones I probably want to deal with Romero or uh, Walking Dead zombies. Those seem quite manageable. Okay. Why is the list of multiple Souls knockoffs like The Surge and Lords of the Fallen, but none of the actual Souls games? Well, you sort of answered the question yourself, whoever asked this, Lorenzo Pofis. You've heard of Dark Souls. I think a lot of gamers, but like this, I don't think there's many gamers who know about The Surge or Lords of the Fallen, but have just never heard of Dark Souls. Like, oh, I've never heard of that game. See, that was really that's the core motivation for the list. Is that, I mean, if you're somebody who only plays like a couple games a year and you're not following what's happening with the games, yeah, I can see why that seems kind of weird for you. But I'm someone who reads up on games and I'm interested in lots of different games. So if I go to like news sites or Steam or someplace, I'm seeing the same games over and over and over again. It's like, all right, you know, these might be great games, but it's like I got the message. I don't need to be reminded a 50th time that this game exists. Let's make some way for the other stuff to try to give everybody a fair shot at this. So this is kind of like an anecdote. This game list is kind of an anecdote to just games marketing in general. You know, it's kind of give these other games a fair shot. Like here, I want to test this. I'm gonna go to Steam right now. I'm not logged in. Let's see what comes up. Terraria. Okay, well that one's a little off the beaten path. Okay, now they're making me look stupid. Atlas Blackwood expansion. I haven't heard of that game. Okay, Rust. Okay, I've heard of Rust. Okay, so new Gary's Mod, Football Manager, Farming Simulator. I've seen that a million times. Cyberpunk. Again, Cyberpunk's probably gonna be great, but I know about it. But okay, if I scroll down some, okay, well, Steam's making me look dumb now because now I'm seeing a bunch of stuff I haven't seen before. But this is recent. Okay, Wolfenstein. New whatever. Youngblood. Okay, that one I've heard of a bunch. I swear, I want to say for like the past year, I go on here, there's a 50% chance I'm going to see some Fallout game on there. You know, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, or the new Doom or something, you know. So this is just to kind of give everything a fair shake, you know. And it's also it's through the lens of my own bias, I admit, but you know, maybe we can work something else out later to kind of snare more people. Or hey, maybe if it's somebody who just absolutely loves like sort of what I call like cutesy games or anime games, that maybe there's like somebody else we could like recommend, like you go to, you know, it's like, oh, you're not finding what you want at Ross's list? Well, try this list. This guy has you covered. Because again, a lot of these turn-based games, I may still really be interested in them. It's just the mechanics kind of drive me off. But so yeah, I'd be down with that. Like recommending somebody that like they have multiple check boxes on my biased against list. Because that does not mean those are bad games at all. It just means, man, I'm probably not gonna have a good time playing them. That's what that list means, generally. So let's see. Okay, so yeah, I should keep moving on. So yeah, that's like the core premise of the list. I mean, I can maybe have like something that gives my opinions on like really well-known games, but and again, some games you can argue already have like a lot of publicity and shouldn't be on the list. That's fair, but I guess I'm just going by what I've experienced. So in like when I've looked at Steam or GOG or gaming news sites, if it's a game I've just seen just 100 times, then no, it's not on the list. But some of these I know have bigger budgets and maybe they try to have more marketing. Like the Warhammer one, I think that one did have a lot of views. It's just that I didn't see a lot on that game and I could easily get it mixed up with other Warhammer games just from the title. So like off the top of my head, I don't remember which, well, I think I do now, but before I made the video, I don't remember which one's Space Hulk, which one's Inquisition, which one's the 4X one. Like, you know, it's all blended together in my head. So that's worth putting on the list. However, I am making exception for a little bit for like games I thought were done, but then they have an expansion like 10, 15 years later. So like I threw the new Titan Quest expansion on there, like Ragnarok, although I think they have another one now. And I threw a Postal 2 expansion that I didn't even realize, like what, they made a second expansion? I didn't know that, you know? So that stuff like that's fair game, I think. Where you thought the series was done, and then, oh, they came back. Great. Let's put them on the list then. So yeah, that's the thing. I want my list to have a very fair chance of being stuff you haven't seen a million times. So, and be something you might want to play. That's it. Okay, so yeah, that's not going to change on the list. At best, we would have a side section where if you wanted to see like my opinion on like really popular games. So, but that's never going to get a front page on the list because that's the whole point, you know. I'm not trying to promote games just because they're less obscure. It's because I want, you know, I kind of want egalitarian representation of the games that look good. And we've already got the popular ones covered, I think. All right. Okay, one of the biases I have against games on real-world military conflicts. Could you elaborate a little on this? Is it games based directly on real present-day conflicts, modern warfare games, historical conflicts? It's okay. It's kind of like it's a couple things. Like I guess one thing that pertains to all of them is a lot of these military conflicts, I kind of know the range of what to expect. So, you know, whereas if you're fighting aliens or some monsters, you don't know how this story is going to turn out. Whereas if it's a historical game, yeah, you know who won the war. Or if it's a modern conflict, you kind of know the range of things. Now, I can be warmed up if it just went complete alternate reality to the point where we're just talking about a different society completely. Like, let's say it starts off on some modern military conflict, but then by the end, you know, we have like different countries have formed, like the U.S. has split or something. Like, you know, because I like alternate reality stuff, but let's like get really alternate reality. So I like that, but again, I said I play games for escapism, so I kind of like to kind of get more kind of out there. You know what I mean? It's because I don't know how because once we're getting into like stuff that's like really fictional or fantasy or something, now I have no idea how it's going to turn out. Because, you know, there's less rules to apply to. Whereas if you're trying to be like really accurate with your military conflict, it's like, yeah, I can't. No, it doesn't work for me as much. Like you mentioned the modern warfare games and this. I'm sure this is gonna like. I'm sure this is gonna make like modern warfare fans just like, you know, just think I'm hopeless, and maybe I am, but I'm probably most interested in the sci-fi ones. Like, I'm probably gonna check out like, was it Advanced Warfare and the Infinite one, because I'm looking at that, I'm saying, okay, I'm pretty sure that takes place on Titan. Then we have spaceships. Sure, I'll play that, you know. Whereas however, I completely understand if you were like a fan of the Modern Warfare series, you think this is stupid and you don't want all this sci-fi stuff in your game. I get that. I would be equally as happy if that was a completely separate franchise. So here, let's make some other game that's not in the Modern Warfare universe that has spaceships and like an interplanetary conflict and stuff like that. Because sure, I'm down with it. Because that's the part I'm interested in, you know. I 100% understand when fans of a certain franchise get pissed at a new one that sort of feels like it's kind of disrespecting the fans and this other idea is trying to co-opt the franchise into something it never was at all. I'm not talking about something different. I'm talking about something like this isn't why you were a fan of the franchise. So I understand that completely. So, like with well, that happens all the time. Man, I'm running dry on examples, but I've seen that a lot on the internet where one side will say, no, you hate this game because it's doing this. I'm like, no, I don't like this because you're trying to do this to this franchise. Well, I don't hate the game, but I felt completely justified in criticizing Human Revolution harder because it's a Deus Ex game. So I'm going to have different expectations for that than I would if that had just been an original IP. Like I wouldn't have been half as hard on Human Revolution if it was just a new intellectual property. Like, okay, this is a fresh story. Well, they want to do this sort of thing. Okay, well, whereas I'm coming in with Deus Ex with all these expectations. I mean, it doesn't mean they can't do things differently, but it's like, if you're going to do it differently, make it even more awesome. That's what I think. Which they did in some ways, but a lot of stuff I like them because it's not like I'm asking for a clone of the game, but okay, but we'll get back to military conflicts. Like for historical, one game I did play, which I thought it would definitely be the hazy category for me. It was Darkest Days, where I thought the premise was awesome. The idea is it's this sci-fi thing where you're in the future, but the timeline is getting screwed up. So you have to go back and kind of tilt historical battles in the right favor, in favor of the right direction. I think that's awesome. I'd love to see like them try again like that. Because then, hey, maybe I don't know how the Civil War is going to turn out, or the American Revolution, or something like that. And I guess the other thing is some time periods and some battles, I'm just, for whatever reason, maybe it's because of like where I grew up, I'm more interested in. Like I'm definitely more interested in like the kind of the historical American wars, again, like Civil War, American Revolution, or French Indian War. I find those a lot more interesting personally. So there's some time periods I just find more interesting. Other people are gonna, if you, somebody else might find like ancient Persian wars more interesting, or like the classic Greek, or like a lot of Roman conquest stuff. And again, environments can win me over. Like let's say it was like a Roman war campaign, but we're trying to conquer Gaul or something like in the northern European area. We're having this lush forest and you're seeing some other tactics. Yeah, you know what? That might be able to win me over. So I can be a sucker for environments I like. So, but yeah, I'd say the core of it is kind of just, I have to like, yeah, and that's another thing where a lot of modern military conflicts are in the Middle East. And man, then we get to the desert again. It's just like, okay, I'm seeing a lot of, sand-blasted buildings and just nothing but hot sand. And it's like, I have played Spec Ops: The Line. I thought that was all right. I did like seeing sort of alternate future Dubai. So seeing Dubai just completely swallowed up by sand. To me, that was probably my favorite part of the game. But like if it was a military conflict like in the Congo or something, well, yeah, I might warm up more to that, just because I can be a sucker for environments. I like thick jungle and forest and everything. So where it takes place can kind of win me over too, depending on the conflict. Yeah, somebody's saying deserts, swamps, sewers, hate them all. Well, I don't know many military conflicts in the sewers, but swamps, that might work. That might work. So, yeah, it just depends. But, a lot of modern military conflicts, it's in the Middle East. It's, I don't know. And so I know, we're not going to be summoning demons, and by the end of it, and it's on the desert. So, yeah, different things appeal to different people. That's what I really tried to drive home on the game list video. Although there are limits to that, because it's not that, look, what constitutes a good game or not? Like, hey, I 100% believe that just because I don't like a game, if I can see the game's obviously well made, I can totally get that other people like it, and more power to them, you know? But at the same time, I don't hold that attitude for everything. Like, a real easy example is games as a service. No, I don't think it's cool that you just want to make a game that you're selling to people, especially if it comes to the tunes of millions of dollars that you're putting into it, and then just have no responsibility whatsoever to have the game running once you're done with it. Like, no, that's because even if I don't care for the game, what about all those other people who do like the game? You know, I mean, I care about that. So I don't think I don't respect people's opinions on that. No, I think it's just irresponsible, and it's destroying history. And it's just, it comes down to a value-based thing. Man, I can respect that it's difficult for them, or they might need to change their business practice, or they may not be able to meet you like 100% for existing games, you know. Those are all valid arguments, but just that that this is a good thing we should allow. No, it's not. I mean, it's destroying creative works. It's destroying history for the future. That's just a value. It's just a value based thing. Again, a philosopher is going to have to explain it better, because if I try to, I might be able to come up with an explanation that you could easily tear apart if you're just looking at it from a hard logic perspective. Whereas if it's a value-based thing that, like, no, we shouldn't do this because it's wrong, and a whole lot of people agree with that. Like, again, see, if you go by pure logic, you can apply that argument to all kinds of terrible things, but not intentionally destroying history when people are trying to stop you, you know, and creative works, aesthetic works. I think that's one. The vast majority of humanity is on board with that train, okay? That's a good test. That's a good test. Like, because values can conflict all the time, but if it's one that so regardless of the logic of it, if it's one the vast majority of humanity holds, that you shouldn't do this, like cannibalism. Yeah, there are exceptions, but yes, you ask somebody on the street, no, that's awful, why would you do that? You know, that's a real good acid test. If we're talking like 90% or more of humanity just is against it, it's probably it's probably a good value to have. Then if I hadn't thought of that. That's a good acid test. You know, because like even in the past, like, you know, like we had things like slavery. It's like, you know what? I bet all the slaves aren't on board with slavery. That alone gets you way over the percentage you need that this is not a good value. So, you know, yeah, I think that's a good test there. Okay, so I should keep moving on here. Let's see. I'm sweating profusely now. Let's see. Military conflicts. How well read are you in terms of Lovecraft stories? I don't know. I've read a bunch of them. Yeah, which of them do you like the most? I've read a bunch. I haven't read all of them. I need to catch up. I've read several dozen, though. As far as favorites, you know, I don't know. As a story, I think it's like The Color Out of Space. I think, or maybe it's like The Color Out. I think there's one called the Color Out of Space, and there's one like the Something Out of Time. It might have been The Color Out. There's one where you kind of, this person sort of displaces their mind back with like an ancient race. I think it might be, it's Something Out of Time, I think. That I thought that was pretty intriguing. It was like really interesting. It's kind of the world they're building up. Yeah, The Shadow Out of Time. Somebody's saying that's probably it. And yeah, that one was interesting. I think there is another one called The Color Out of Space that's like a real short story about this. Now I'm blurry on it, but I remember liking it. It's like, I think it's like, it almost felt like sort of like a Twilight Zone episode. It's something that could be real short, where I think this sort of thing crashed, like a meteorite crashed, and then like this strange growth was happening around it, and was infecting the local soil and was spreading and causing like weird things to happen. I think that's it. I might be getting things mixed up. I remember liking that one. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's just undeniably imaginative, where I just have to respect it. I mean, it's interesting regardless. And so is it like, I think it's like the Dream Quest of something, Kadesh, or no, it's Kadesh, I think, is Magic the Gathering. I'm sure somebody in the chat will be able to correct me. Yeah, it's one of those more famous ones, but it's just incredibly imaginative. I have to respect that, because that's what I like the most about fantasy. But besides the environment and atmosphere, I can like that about any sort of game or movie or story. Kadath. Okay. The is just like, I like seeing somebody's imagination just run wild, and like, so you just become fascinated with this world that they've created. And yeah, he definitely does that in the Dream Quest one. I mean, Shadow over Innsmouth is good. However, I think I had that spoiled because I actually saw the movie version Dagon before I read it, and this may sound like heresy to people. I think the movie's better. I think the movie's better than the story, because it's rare when that happens. But of course the story was the inspiration for the movie. So let's see. Trying to think of some others. Because, I mean, some of them, it's like they open the door for more interesting things, but the story itself isn't like the best ever. Like, I think I think it's the one in Antarctica, at the Mountains of Madness, I think. I felt like that one was kind of like that, where, it's certainly interesting, but it's like the story in itself, all right, we had an expedition, we found some ancient stuff, it got a little spooky, we left, and yeah, we're in trouble now. My memory it's been years since I read it, so sorry if I'm leaving big parts out. But it's like, it opens the door for awesome stuff to happen. So, but I think my favorite stories are the ones where awesome stuff happens within the story itself. So, but yeah, I'd say those are probably some of my favorites. So, but yeah, I haven't read them all either. So, oh yeah, I saw this one and I still don't know the answer. What are your and Magda's favorite animated film? I'm not even sure, because I feel like, every animated film is like a mixed bag for me, because there'll be some stuff I love about it, and then some stuff, no, I really don't like this. And like, even as a kid, Disney movies, a lot of people love those. Even as a kid, I just about always hated the singing portions. I was like, no, this is annoying, whatever, let's get back to the story. I want so, and like, that's just like almost every Disney movie, or have the singing. And Ross, watch Spider-Verse, watch it. Okay, somebody's saying that's the 12th question. Okay, so yeah, what? Yes, I think we're mixing up Lovecraft stories in the part above that. But lost my train of thought. So even as a kid, those were my favorites, because I would like the rest of it as a kid, but then I was like, oh my God, they're singing now. Just skip it. I think as a kid with singing, my favorite, like out of the Disney movies, might have been like Beauty and the Beast. I don't know, I like the atmosphere of it, but also, it wasn't a movie, but out of the Disney stuff, I really liked, was it The Legend of Sleepy Hollow? But it was sort of a TV short movie-ish thing. But once we get to, there's a lot more animated than just Disney. And then it's just like, I can think of a lot of candidates, but then it's just like, no, I don't really like that part. No, I don't really like, because like every anime movie's I want to say every one I've seen, it's gonna have a bias against it for me for getting like the melodramatic stuff. Like it's like it goes from either like cringy to me or just like let's skip. Like how many anime movies like don't have like a character striking a pose where they like look down, close their eyes to the side. It's just like, oh my gosh, this is so hacky for me. Like I don't know. Like it's not that I'm against drama, but I feel like it feels so corny to me when I see that. So that aside, for anime stuff, out of the ones I've seen, I mean, I'd say my favorite would probably be either Ghost in the Shell or Akira. Because like Ghost in the Shell liked everything else about it. I mean, awesome world, awesome music, good story. And Akira is just nuts. Like Akira is one where I love, it starts off with an awesome environment and kind of atmosphere. And by the end, we're just in complete madness. And they really kind of, I have respect for that when a movie does that. It's not that I'm seeking ultimate madness, but hey, it kept me watching, you know? So, see, somebody's mentioning Ian Flux. Ian Flux, I'm behind 100%, except not the movie. So, because the movie's not animated and the movie is just the weakest out of all of them. The TV show, yeah, I absolutely love Ian Flux. It's great. I mean, the writing on board 100%. I like all the nonverbal stuff, like the little quips they have with, you know, Trevor and Ian and just the surreal sci-fi world they have. And you're wondering if they're dabbling in philosophy here and there. It's just so cool. I love, music's great, cool art style. Yeah, so Ian Flux, I'm behind 100%. So for non-movies, yeah, Ian Flux I think would be my favorite. But yeah, I should check the chat for more recommendations here. Okay, I don't know if I've seen Ghibli. I think I saw the, I don't know, what it's not the, I don't think it's the Howling Castle. It might have been Spirited Away. Is that the one where her family gets turned into hogs or something, and then she goes in this weird castle, weird world? I think that's Spirited Away. I'm not sure. Okay, what were some? Oh yeah, well, the heavy metal. Yeah, heavy metal is another example. Like I love part of it. I don't really like, because like the original heavy metal movie is like some of the shorts I think are awesome. Like I love the first couple are pretty cool. And then like by the end one, I feel like it's so drawn out and like, and then other stuff I wasn't really getting into. So it's kind of a mix of everything. Some of it I love, some of it I don't. And then Heavy Metal 2000, I think it's a fun movie, but I don't know. It's like parts of it are kind of cheesy. Awesome soundtrack. Well, the original has a great soundtrack too, but I love the Heavy Metal 2000 soundtrack. Cool world, but yeah, we get into a lot of like the kind of cheesy stuff too. Fun action. So it's a mixed bag for me. Actually, I saw one not long ago, like this year. Light Years, that was the name. But I think it had another name too. It was like Gallagher or something. Let's see. Here, I'll find out the other name of it. Gandahar. That one was pretty cool. That one sort of felt like it was half sort of like a He-Man episode or something, and then half really cool science fiction. So you got a little bit of the, okay, this is kind of more for, like, the movie's absolutely not for kids, but the writing and style, half of it felt like it was sort of more for kids, and half of it is just awesome science fiction. I think I saw it might have been based on Isaac Asimov. So that one was pretty cool, Gandahar. So yeah, I don't know is the answer, but those are all some candidates in that I would have. You know, the Akira, Ghost in the Shell, heavy metal stuff. But yeah, I love Ian Flux, so I want more stuff like Ian Flux. So, and if it's just really funny too, that can work also. But I'm trying to think, like, what's an animated film for it doesn't have to be targeted at adults, but it's just really funny even if you're an adult. I guess that's what I mean. You know, it doesn't have to have adult humor or anything, but just because like Wallace and Gromit has that problem too, where the series of Wallace and Gromit, the shorts were just awesome. That's hilarious. I love that stuff. But the movies just they kind of Hollywoodized it some more, so that there's a lot more kind of cheap jokes in it. So it kind of drags it down some more. So, I mean, it depends if they meant like hand-drawn animated or like claymation animated, that sort of thing. Yeah, somebody's saying Wizards. I didn't really get into Wizards. I saw that one. Yeah, actually for claymation, that's one I gotta go back and watch because I remember it just being trippy. Was it? It was something like the Adventures of Mark Twain or Mark. It was like a Mark Twain claymation thing. It's definitely cool, but it's one of the Adventures of Mark Twain. Yeah, it's a claymation. It's definitely cool. It's definitely good. It's trippy to the point of being kind of disturbing from what I remember. So that in itself kind of made it not my favorite, but it's art for sure. You know, it's pretty cool. So people were recommending Spider-Verse. I saw the trailer. It wasn't really grabbing me, so it just looked sort of like comic book style stuff. Where comic book they kind of have to work harder to win me over. You know, so, I mean, I don't hate it. I like some of them, but I gotta, and the trailer wasn't quite winning me over. Let's see. Somebody's mentioning the animated Lord of the Rings. It's been so long since I've seen that, I just barely even remember it. I remember The Hobbit better, the animated. And that one's good, but again, it's like the songs sort of drove me off. Even though they're good, they're well done, you know. I feel like every animated movie is like a mixed bag for me, but maybe it'll make my dream animated movie because some of them came so close, you know. Okay, let's see. I'll keep moving on, but yeah, that was a good. And I have no idea what Magda's favorite animated film is. I'll ask her if she has an answer. I'll try to remember to tell you. Let's see. Have you received any cool mouse designs since your big birthday video? I think, okay, this is a 50-50 kind of my fault, half their fault. Where some people I said, yeah, I'm interested, and then I didn't hear from them again. And then some people I may have forgotten to reply to. If that happened, I apologize. If you're on board with trying to come up with a dream mouse for me, it's all laid out in the birthday video. Absolutely send a follow-up to me. Oh yeah, if somebody's saying 14th question. Well, I would answer this anyway, so okay. Yeah, thanks for reminding. Okay, so I'll pick and choose. I would have, yeah, I'm, the thing is, I want a mouse where I can use every button, which includes the pinky finger, because I use that, man. If I want an extra function, I like going on bam, like, and so that rules out like 90% of mice on the market right there. So it's like only like ambidextrous mice have that. I'm not ambidextrous. I mean, I'm right-handed, but it just feels like I have to give up something to like use that. I've been tempted to cave in though, and just, if the mouse is real uncomfortable. I mean, right now I still have that Alure one, which it's not my favorite, but it's like my least worst mouse that you can buy in modern times, because sometimes they'll have mice that, yeah, and I've busted the, okay, let's talk about mice a second. I've busted multiple scroll wheels. Like before this, I had a SteelSeries Kana, which I like the design, but it was just too small. I have like bigger hands. See, look, you can kind of, like I have like a face hugger hand. You know, you can encapsulate my face. That's how big it is. So I hate all these tiny mice. You know, it's like, sure, make tiny mice for some of the market. Can we have some for people with, you know, big hands too? I don't even think I have like enormous, well, maybe they are big, I don't know. They're on the big side, they're not gargantuan. But yeah, and there's a thread in the forums if you want more details. I think it's, it's under stuff that interests Ross. It's like on the bottom there, where I give measurements of my hands and I give photos and stuff. But yeah, I'm looking for, But here's the other thing. Okay, so because I think your average mouse, if I can, okay, do I have another? Okay, maybe I can rip out another mouse. Just a second. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I've been using this on the secondary system. Oh wow, is it still connected? Okay, well it doesn't matter. Okay, see, I think the average mouse, yeah, it's dusty, great. They design it so that you're holding it like this. So that's what, 3 fingers? Come on. Like, whereas I want to do it like this. I want one, okay, if I can get the camera. You know, one for the thumb, one for the pinky, or maybe more than one for those. And then one for boom, boom, boom for each of the 3. And a lot of mice, even if you're ignoring the pinky finger, here's another thing I don't like about modern mouse design. It's like, okay, well, if you're just resting here, then if you want that, you have to deal with the scroll wheel. And that's like at a hump, and that's like not as comfortable. It's like, okay, well, I'll do that when I want to scroll, but like, they don't want you using more than 3 fingers at any one time, or just resting in a position. One of the best designs I saw for a scroll wheel, I think was like the Rat 7 or something. They had it for the thumb, and you just kind of went like this, and I was like, oh, that was so nice being able to do that. Just because when you're not using the scroll wheel, you want it out of the way. And I'd rather just have another button for the finger to rest. So I'm a freak. I realize this. I'm a mutant when it comes to mice, but that's what my dream mouse would have. It have a button for every finger and like the scroll wheel out of the way when you're not using the scroll wheel. And I think, yeah, the scroll wheel is busted on this mouse. It's busted on this one, probably because I'm using that 3rd button all the time in games or something. Like that's my duck key is the middle in first-person shooters and stuff. That's usually how I set the duck. So with this mouse, it's still holding on though. I remapped it to like the little. It's supposed to be for the sensitivity right there. So that's not bad. I like this comment. Get a piano, problem solved. That's almost how it feels like for me. So I don't know, maybe someday, but you know what? I think if we had the scroll wheel solved and it was just extremely comfortable from a resting hand position. I mean, people talk about like claw or palm grip. I don't know what I think. To me, that's like irrelevant because I'm still only use your whole damn hand position, not three fingers position. So I'm probably palm grip, I guess, or maybe fingers. I don't even know what I am. It probably depends on the shape of the mouse, but I don't know. Because claw might work if the mouse was like really round. Microsoft had a mouse sort of like that. Geez, it was like, I forget the name of it. What was it? I guess just like, look at your hand in like a resting position. It's kind of like this. But if you're like holding something a little bit like this, then it's sort of resting more like a ball shape. Either one's fine, as long as it's just comfortable when you're resting. But yeah, what was it? It's like Microsoft Comfort Mouse or something. Microsoft makes really comfortable mice that have like just terrible other problems. Like the Comfort Mouse 4500, that had a really nice shape and that was a much rounder mouse. But then they put the buttons like way at the end so you can't just tap them. So I don't know. I'm probably a lost cause when it comes to mice, but hey, if you want to make a custom shell for me out of a 3D printing thing or something else, or help design one that piggybacks onto like an existing mouse, because mice today look, there's loads of mice with just great sensors. I have no problem with pretty much any modern mouse, I would think. They're sensitive. Oh, you can mount controls, great, I'm good. I'm not overly picky on that. I'm not trying to win Counter-Strike tournaments or something, but so we could just take a really common like off-the-shelf mouse and then just maybe modify the shell so it kind of fits your hand more. So yeah. Daniel says Ross would hate my cheap $10 mouse. one of the most comfortable mice I've ever used was like a $15 thing. It was like a Belkin 5-button mouse that had this kind of inverted teardrop shape. It felt great, but the construction was garbage. I think I went through like 2 or 3 of them. They would just die after a couple months because they were just cheap mice. But man, it would, wonderful shape. I remember loving it, but I can't be the only person. Like, okay, I understand people aren't using the pinky finger, but I can't be the only person who just wants a comfortable resting mouse and being able to use more than 3 fingers. Maybe I am though. Okay, I got way too animated on this. Okay, so I'm gonna start picking questions now. Let's see. Oh, okay, somebody's talking about if the Strife episode, a friend who gets you into so much trouble, he just wants you to, yeah, he wants you along for the company when you go to jail, and the robot jobs video, how inevitably if some people have too much free time, they can end up in jail. No, I wasn't really thinking anyone specifically, but you know, if you've gone to some parties, you go to enough of them, you've come across some people, it's like, this person is just on a collision course with the cops. You know, there's some people, you know, that are, you know, they're just in the wrong place, wrong time, or, you know, they're hanging out with the wrong crowd. There's other people, no, it's just a matter of time before they're gonna get arrested. You can just tell. So I'm not thinking of anyone too specifically, just sort of collectively the people I met over the years. But actually, I don't remember if I've said this. I kind of wanted to mention a follow-up to the robot jobs video. In that, I mentioned how universal basic income might work. I might be being convinced in the other direction, but I don't know. By all means, feel free to email me a rebuttal on this. The one thing I think that concerns me about universal basic income is I'm wondering when maybe the market might adjust to that. So let's say like you give everybody like what, 10,000 a year or something. Okay, well that'll probably do a lot of good in the short term. But like let's say over 10 years, average rent prices just somehow managed to go up about $10,000. I mean, it wouldn't happen overnight, but I'm imagining like landlords are gonna see that and they'll be like, oh, well I can afford to charge some more and some more. What would prevent that from happening? So by the end of it, it's like a treadmill. It's like you haven't moved anything except now you're using that income and you're basically paying landlords more. So it's almost more like it could accidentally trigger something that resembles even more like long-term feudalism, where you have the lords that you're paying even more to. So I'm not against it so much as I haven't heard a good rebuttal to that from that. So I'd be interested to know what's the answer to that problem. So I'm for solving problems. So like that's the side I'm on, is solving problems. So I'm for multiple solutions if they solve it. If they don't solve it, then I'm not for that. that explains my ideology on a lot of things. So I'm against things that don't solve problems and make things worse. But if I'm wrong, if I have bad information, if it all depends on what information I have, you know? So, okay, I'll edit this one. I'll reply to this one. How do you edit videos and not go completely insane? It's, well, somebody mentioned exercise. Yeah, that helps in just for anything where you have to focus. But actually for video editing, I don't mind that. I mean, it's kind of like, that can be kind of fun. The part I really hate about video editing is time pressure. So it's like something that might be fun if you do it over the course of like a week, but you need to do it like within 24 to 48 hours, suddenly becomes a lot less fun. But like imagine you're building like, because with editing, it's like a lot of little steps to make it all come together and make it look good. Like imagine you're building the Notre Dame Cathedral out of Legos, like a model of it. You know, there are thousands of pieces that you got to get right, but you know, it can be kind of fun making that. But if there's like, you need this in like 5 hours, that's not going to be fun, you know? So now the stuff that was driving me crazy is the volume balancing, because that just almost feels like assembly line work to me, because there's not like, there's less for me of a creative touch to it and seeing it come together. It's just like, fix this, smaller, okay, fix this, change this, fix it. So that's where I may be deviating more or trying to outsource more of that. Oh, speaking of this, something I forgot regarding the games list. If you're someone who if this interests you, if you want to kill a bunch of time, one thing I would love for the games list, but I know I'm not going to have time to do it. If you would like to give a sentence or two description of the game, contact me. Maybe we can get it so you could edit the entries to, now this I would like to be relatively objective. Like, so you can say it's like, okay, kind of a Metroid clone set in a fantasy world or something like that, or this. Now you can leave any opinion you want in the comments, but just so people could click on the entry, then they see a sentence description of what the game is. That would have been ideal, but again, it's like that would have added so much time to getting the video out that I just decided to skip it. But if that's something you would like to fix, go ahead and email me. That maybe we can hook you up with that, because it would certainly make the list nicer to browse. Yeah, I mean, it's, so yeah, okay, so I'll keep going on that. But yeah, this would be just, it's like, if you're someone who enjoys editing Wikipedia or adding entries, then that might be up your alley, I guess. It could even be copy-paste stuff as long as it's a reason. People get a quick idea of the game within a sentence or two, and they have a screenshot. Because man, that was such a nice, on that site, on that blog I mentioned in the video, you can still go to it. That was like the best way for me to browse games, because just be like, okay, this, because I get an idea for the game just like that. It was great. I loved it. So, okay, yeah. People are mentioning, yeah. If you have time to kill and this interests you, if you're not interested in it, no pressure. You know, we got the game list out. People can always click on the link to get a description. So it's. We've done the important part. So let's see. I have not heard of the Die by the Sword game. So next question. Oh yeah, people are asking about Japanese games. I can't cover them, but you know the reason. Part of the reason I probably haven't done a lot of Japanese games is they were kind of. I've covered a lot of older games on Game Dungeon, and they were kind of shunning the PC market. So at the time, it's only like much more recently that you kind of see more Japanese games kind of trickling in. So I didn't get exposure to a lot of them. And it's like, it has to, I don't know. I think I have a better grasp of like what I'm expecting from a game, whereas Japanese can be more, it can be much more anything goes. I don't know what's the culture, what's the game. And plus, there are also, I mean, it's so deep. It's in the damn naming scheme. You have a JRPG subgenre. And guess what? Those are almost always turn-based games or variants of. And now there are plenty of Japanese action games too, but so that kind of kept me away from like a lot of Japanese RPGs, was just the mechanics of it. I mean, look, I think a lot of, even though, look, I know this rubs some people the wrong way. I'm just being completely honest about my biases. I'm not really into a lot of like anime related stuff, but I'll give this. Look, a lot of Japanese games, they have wonderful environments. Again, some of us have great music too. So I'm not just against them because they're Japanese. It's just the specific things I don't like that just kind of turn me off. So look, you have that's why I really meant what I said in that Human Revolution video, that like I think the game would have been stronger if they just went nuts. Like here, let's see those. Let's see some Japanese game developers' imagination run wild. I think you'll have a better game, and even if it's a little anime themed, it might kind of win me over just because the world is so cool. Like I may end up trying some of the near Automata games, or there's another one. I think it was like Journey to the West or something. Journey to the East. I'm sure the audience knows what I'm talking about. Or no, maybe it was based on the book. Oh, what was that game? Enslaved. Yeah, that's the name of it. Because I saw some screenshots and I'm thinking, wow, this world looks awesome. So if it's an interesting story and your world's fantastic and I don't hate the gameplay, yeah, I can be swayed, you know. So look, the fantastic worlds, that's always a good way to kind of rope me in, you know. Like I said in the video, I play them for escapism. I like the whole experience of like kind of feeling like you're in another world. So yeah, somebody mentioning Resident Evil. Well, that's a Japanese game. So I guess the other thing is the ratio of people who are covering obscure Japanese games and have a lot to say about them to the point where I may not even have helpful input at all. It's probably gonna be a lot higher than obscure PC games where sometimes they just don't even know these games exist. So, and I do not have a favorite Tetris game. I've played a few, but not that many. Yet 3 sort of stood out to me because it's like, it's so cheerful and nice and good ideas and just so antagonistic also. Well, that's not a bad question. Do you prefer speakers or headphones for gaming? You know, I guess I would like speakers, but I've had to live, I guess the thing is, I haven't used speakers for gaming, I want to say over a decade, maybe longer, because what I like is not being bothered by other people and not them bothering me if I'm playing the game. So I'm never really gonna have true freedom with speakers, I think, because I'm gonna play it at the volume I want, and that might disturb neighbors, or now that I'm married, you know, I don't want to disturb my wife with it. So I've just had to get used to speakers. I mean, get used to headphones and just accept that's just how it's gonna be. That's just, I mean, maybe if I wanted to go full hermit and live out by myself in the middle of nowhere, then yeah, maybe I could do speakers again. But it's just it cuts both ways is the thing, because I don't want to inflict what I'm listening to or playing on other people if they don't want it, and I don't want them inflicting it on me. So I'd rather just have nice headphones. What I may end up doing though is I'm very happy with these headphones. These are DT 7070 Pro ones, Bear Dynamic. I use these for all editing, and they're supposed to be rated as like studio headphones. But I might actually get open ear ones maybe also, because these are closed, because those can actually, if I'm only disturbing somebody if they like are in the same room, if like the sounds, that might be okay. And you can get kind of a more impressive soundscape experience with that. So maybe I'll look into like a second pair of headphones, one for games and movies, and one when I'm just trying to do like real editing or carefully listening to the sound quality, that sort of thing. I could see that happening. So maybe I should get some open-ended headphones or something. But I think speaker, I think I just have to, it's just not going to happen, I think, for now that I'm married and I have neighbors. So, okay, let's see, other questions. I've kind of answered, okay, that's not a bad question. They're moving from the US to Central Eastern Europe. Oh no, it's rare for me to hear somebody doing that, not the other way around. How hard was it for you to get used to the life here? What was the biggest surprise for you? It wasn't too hard. I mean, the language is the most difficult part. I mean, I came in relatively open-minded, and I'd seen lots of movies that take place in Europe. So, I mean, movies that aren't just, you know, that are halfway believable and realistic. But And I'm relatively adaptable. Just off the top, there might have been bigger surprises. I think the biggest surprise for me that I can remember offhand was, I want to call it reverse culture shock. And that if you go into a mall or a store or something here, it's all the same top 10 songs that are in America. Like, I was expecting to hear like European songs or, like, oh, more like the local stuff. No, it's all the same damn songs. So, oh well, so yeah, it was kind of reverse culture shock, I guess. That's the biggest surprise I can remember offhand because I was not expecting that. So, somebody's saying there are no good Polish songs. Well, I'm sure there's some good stuff, but maybe Poland isn't leading, but what? We don't have any good stuff from Germany or or France. I mean, like, oh well. Let's see. Oh, and then he's also asking, how many donations do I get in cryptocurrency average each month? I do not know. I only check it periodically. Yeah, hey, I try to thank. I am caught up on that as much as I can be, or unless it was like within the past couple days, I haven't done it. I try to thank every single person who's donated. Like, I try to send them an email. Sometimes when I reply, I get the mailer subdemon saying that, oh, this address doesn't exist or doesn't work. So if your email address doesn't work for PayPal, you're not getting a reply unless you also send me an email. Same goes for cryptocurrency. I don't know who's sending what. So if you want to thank you for cryptocurrency, you have to send me an email too because it's anonymous. I have no idea. So yeah, I mean, I don't check, but you can check it yourself. It's like a public ledger, I think. For the Ethereum and the Bitcoin and stuff. But so yeah, at this point I've thanked almost everybody except ones where the emails got bounced back and ones with like in the past couple days. I still need to reply to some people. So, but yeah, I try to give a thank you to everyone who does that. So let's see. I generally don't listen to podcasts while I work. And if I could recommend some, the thing about listening to things while I work, that's another reason I tend to lean towards soundtracks, is if I'm hearing words or singing, that can just, maybe it's something wrong with my brain, that can just scramble my thoughts so I can't focus. The only time I was ever able to just focus when I'm hearing to music where there's like lyrics, or a podcast would be even worse because they're talking, would be if it's something completely nonverbal. Like I was able to do that in school with math homework, or maybe if I was doing an art project or something. So if I had to do dishes or something, yeah, I could listen to something like that. But if there's anything that involves like dialogue or like real careful focus, then no, it's just it doesn't work with my head. So, and the chat seems to have drifted to something about how the USSR fell apart. That maybe eventually at some point, I've just been. This is one thing I've been putting off forever. I'll record what the chat is saying so you can see it in the video, especially since we have moderators. So at some point, so we can. I'm always impressed when it mutates that much. So. I can only guess the train of thought that led to that. So. Okay, yeah. Well, this is a tough question. They're asking how I managed to stay consistent with the quality of Freeman's Mind when I was just under the hell crunch finishing the first Freeman's Mind series. It was just, I mean, it's like all the I think if I can cut corners sometimes, but it's like there's something in me that is really not comfortable going below a certain quality level in the videos. So it's just automatic. And the only way to make it happen faster is just to cut the time out of elsewhere. So it's just, oh man, I was that last month, like in December for Freeman's Mind, it was like I was like on a regiment where I would sleep, I would eat, go to the grocery store, get food, have my, 45 minutes or whatever exercise or I run or something like that, and then just that's it. And the rest of the time I was just doing nothing but Freeman's Mind. It was honestly getting to me hard. But I was like, oh man, I promised I was gonna do this. People came through so much on that Freeman's Mind fundraiser. It's like I felt like I had to do this. I had to do this. So I was just, but yeah, I realized the only way this is gonna happen. It was like a regime. That's all it was, just cutting out everything else, because okay, it's like as much as I would like to watch something, I need to make. If I watch it, I'm not gonna have enough sleep, so I have to go sleep right now. So I hated that, but I'm glad I got through that part. But oh yeah, I skipped the other question about how not to lose your mind when editing. It's like I guess just just have your mind on the goal, because like I can imagine how the video is going to come out well, but this applies to all kinds of things. Like in fact, I'd say that like let's say you have just a job you hate, and you just like, how am I going to get through this? The way I don't have an answer how to do that in the long term. In the short term, I found the way that just gets me through it, like really gets me through it, is to have a plan where you're getting out of that job. You're gonna quit and find another job, like maybe a couple months down the road. And so so if you're doing that, okay, this sucks right now, this work you're doing, but hey, that can be the motivation you get to try to come up with another plan. And you know what? Even if there's other jobs you don't like, maybe you can go look, I'll say this. It was a half joke in that cult tycoon episode where I'm talking about the Fellowship for Intentional Communities. If I hadn't met my wife and I had zero success with the videos and I just wasn't coming across having any luck with jobs I really enjoyed, there's a possibility I might have ended up on, at least for a length of time, on one of these intentional communities where I'm still working, but I have my own kind of pace, and we're just kind of working for ourselves kind of thing. Because it's just something about like the 9-to-5 regimen on a job that you hate. I mean, I like how, I can kind of, I'm certain I work more than 40 hours a week. I guess the relaxed weeks, I'm working at least 40 hours. The hell weeks, I'm going up to 90 or something, but I haven't done those in a long time. Well, maybe. I'm usually working around 40, 70 hours a week, something like that. But just knowing you have to be there by 9 o'clock and then just every day, no matter what, where, hey, maybe you worked really hard the night before, so you want to sleep in an hour or two, and then you'll get back to work or something. It can gnaw away at you. It just depends on your personality, I think. So having some flexible hours, huge benefit for me. But other thing, again, like say it's a tedious job, but you're doing it for you or for your community or something. It's something you actually care about or other people care about. It makes a huge difference for me. Whereas if it's just something for your boss, whereas they don't care at all and they're gonna lay you off if your performance dips even slightly, it's, so the way you get through jobs like that is just have a vision of what you're working towards, of something else that gets you away from that. And even hell jobs become so much more tolerable then because it has an expiration date for you. And that can kind of be the motivation to get through it. It's when you're just completely trapped that just, man, it works on you hard. So well, hey, so, and yeah, if you just get sick of the system, check out that intentional communities website, man. I mean, yeah, you might have having to do a lot of farm work, but there are ways out of this, very unconventional ways out of the system. So yeah, there's always some cause for hope, I think, in a whole lot of situations. All right, so, okay, so I should be pickier on the questions, but these aren't bad questions. Let's see. I have not tried the new Steam Interactive Recommender thing. I think I tried something where they showed you a trailer a little bit, but it wasn't quite working for me. Maybe I can try that more in the future. But hey, my timing's good. The list was only a little bit behind it. So let's see. Someone's asked about meetups. I'll probably figure that out eventually. It's trick. You know, the hardest part is just transportation, money for transportation and time. But it's something I'm definitely open towards. But it's just tricky to work out, especially since I'm not in USA at the moment. That's where most of the audience is. Oh yeah, I'll talk about this. The shirt sleeves were off in the video. Your guess is as good as mine, because it looks like I had the shirt on crooked, but then I tried to adjust it, but then it was like still on. I don't know what was happening. I didn't even notice that until editing. I was like, geez, what's going on? Like, that was actually a 2-day shoot when I did that. So I tried to have it better for the second day, because then I saw the problem the first day, but I don't know what was going on. But I figured, you know what? This isn't such a huge problem that it's like I can't even use the footage. So I'm just going to go with it, whatever. You know, I think my audience can kind of handle that I'm not exactly the most professional in all areas and everything. And so whatever, they can just go to the game list directly. They're not going to have to watch the video if they don't want to. Okay. I'm gonna, actually this reminds me of another announcement I meant to do at the beginning. Look, I'm starting to scrape I should be more coordinated for this. I'm starting to scrape the barrel a bit for music to use in the videos, because if you notice, I reused some stuff in that last one. And I don't need music for all the videos, but I'm running, it's not that I just need music at the end. No, I want stuff with like the right tone. Like the sort of tone I want is kind of like upbeat and laid back. I can give more specific examples later, which if I was smart, I would have had examples ready. I meant to, I just forgot about that. But you can look at some of the previous videos, because I mean, I want people to come here and just have a good time. And a lot of stuff people have got suggested to me, they have kind of like a darker tone, which the music can sometimes be really good and stuff I still might like, but it's not what I want in the videos. I want you coming there like, all right, time to have a good time. You know, watch the video, enjoy yourself. I want stuff more like that. So it doesn't have to be electronic. Actually, one I really liked that was sort of almost like a classical music with a piano thing. Actually, he reuses it like every episode. I don't really like his title theme so much, but like the sort of like slightly circus-like music the Jimquisition has, I kind of like, that has the right tone to it. Some of the, there's a good, it's probably stock music, but there's, somebody's saying, where can we send them? Try to send me, not attachments, but a link to like a file locker or something if you can, because I might get a ton of attachments, but go ahead and email me about them. If you're a composer, great. Or if you just know stuff that doesn't have issues with royalties, that can work too. Or, you know, like Creative Commons stuff, like specific tracks you think, or just games that are so obscure that nobody's gonna really care. I mean, I'll give them credit. I always give everybody credit. Or stuff that's just not gonna trigger the copyright bots. I mean, because it's like, if it's like with a license and the artist absolutely expects their license and laid out the terms, then yeah, I don't want to screw with them on that. But if it's something like a guy made for a computer game 25 years ago and they're happy to have it be reused, yeah, absolutely, I like to use that. And it never had a soundtrack for sale. That's another good sign. that, you know, that it might be okay if they was never for sale in the first place and was just bundled with the game. But yeah, I kind of want more like that. Otherwise, you risk having either me reusing tracks or just no music at all, because it can really enhance the tone sometimes. Yeah, it's... Oh yeah, another example of music that I liked. Check there's a Red Letter Media video. They've probably reused this track. It's like questions about Prometheus. Here, let me see this. Questions about Red Letter Media. I want to get the exact title here. It's a funny video too. Yeah, Red Letter Media talks about Prometheus, I think is the name of it. And it's just nothing but a series of questions. The music playing in the background of that is great. That's perfect. That's exactly the sort of stuff I want. It's very upbeat, kind of calm, you know. Again, it doesn't need any particular style. Or nothing too invasive, upbeat, kind of relaxed tempo. Because of the time, it's a bit... I like the Toe Jam and Earl theme, you know, just so... I mean, that's nice and upbeat, stuff like that. So that's kind of the sort of things that happen. Not like crazy cheerful but yeah, just, you know, the tone is important. I don't want people getting depressed watching the videos. So yeah, that's an ongoing thing, because I'm not going to run out of need for music like that. If you're a composer, great, send me stuff. I need to reply to some composers. They send me stuff. It can be simple. It can be simple too. So, because I'm going to be talking over it. So unfortunately, that kind of puts the music more in the back seat, but it's still very much appreciated when it works out. Okay, I'm skipping some questions. I want to answer this one, even though people might be sick of it. Is the dream of playing our expansive libraries in VR still hanging on VorpX, or have you found an alternative solution since your VR video? It's still pretty much VorpX, in my opinion. If I don't know about something, you can let me know. One person mentioned Depth 3D, a plugin, but in my opinion, I haven't seen anything that really gets that 3D feeling from it. If I'm wrong and like you've seen Depth 3D work wonders, take a screenshot and send it to me. Because, you know, if I can see the depth, or a video clip, put it on YouTube. Because you can just send a side-by-side thing once I get the VR thing working. If you do that, I can see for myself, and then it's no longer as subjective a thing. It's just, yeah, here is the 3D. Does the 3D meet my standards to kind of feel real? So, but yeah, I think I am going to have more on this, but that'll be a future video. So, okay, this guy, I don't mind saying this. How old are you? I feel like you haven't aged at all since I first saw you. I guess I better bring this up because that's going to change at some point. Initially, I was hesitant about saying this because I thought, oh, I'm playing Freeman. I don't want to like ruin the illusion. But I think at this, once I finished Freeman's Mind, I was thinking, okay, if I've destroyed the illusion, then I've destroyed it. So I'm 36. So I guess, yeah, I wouldn't have made it by Logan's Run standards by now. You may not see it on camera, I'm starting to see some gray in my beard. So that's just gonna progress later on. You know, part of being a wizard, you know, this is just what's gonna happen. So yeah, I'm 36 and I certainly, yeah, somebody put blind guess 36. Okay, so somebody nailed it. I was born at the tail end of 82. So it gives you an idea. So yeah, I guess that's still, I'm like right at the edge of millennial and Generation X, but I think it goes over into millennial. So yeah. So I'm saying pretty young for a guy who's back in the 80s. Well, I remember the 80s. I was still a kid, but I remembered the 80s. So, you know, I knew what life was like before the internet. I actually feel really lucky for when I was born, because it's like I got to see like this, well, I guess kind of everybody in the past 150 years or so has seen the evolution of technology, but with computers, especially in games, it's like, man, I've really got to see the evolution because some things more than others. Like with movies, look, a great movie from the 80s, not that different from a great movie now, you know? I mean, yeah, there's been all sorts of small things, but video games, give me a break. I mean, actually, that's just a coincidence why you may wonder on the game list, I had 82 as the earliest year. That's not because when I was born, but that's because when the Commodore 64 came out. And I don't see myself going back with game recommendations before the Commodore 64 because before that, the games are just really basic. And I like a little more to the games that I'm recommending. So that's why I chose that year, because that was when the Commodore 64 came out. Let's see. Okay. Daniel has an interesting comment. Let's see. Generation X is if you can remember life without the internet. I sure can, you know? Oh yeah, people were asking, yeah, it's probably gonna die. That really is my phone from the video. I don't have another Android just off to the side. It's, you know, I think it kind of depends partially on your job and on your social life too, because at the time when like cell phones were becoming more well, before that I was just kind of using my home phone and answering machines. I didn't even get that till I moved to Poland because it's like, I don't know, I sort of like not when I'm out doing stuff, to just be doing my own stuff and not worry about the rest of the world, you know, being on call at all times. I'm not a paramedic, you know, or a doctor. But I guess the other thing is, by the time smartphones were becoming more prevalent, my friends in USA had just all moved off to the four corners of the earth anyway. So it's like, there would be times when we were getting together and doing stuff, and then they just, nobody's there. So it's like, all right. So then I moved to Poland. Actually, I have met some people now, but now email sort of works. So I guess if you're like really connected, you know, you can, I'm not saying there's no reason for a smartphone, but it's weird. It's like I'm a Luddite on some technologies, others I'm practically early adopter on. In fact, I was an early adopter on the Elsa Revelator glasses, the stereoscopic 3D stuff. And if they weren't so expensive, I would be more of an early adopter of VR. I'm sort of holding off for the right one, but I'm there, man. I'm ready mentally. I'm ready for the next steps on that. So, but with smartphones, I just don't care at all. I mean, somebody's saying, can you at least text? Yes, but it's very awkward because you have like the 10 digits. So if you got to hit it multiple times, I hate texting. But even with the other ones, I mean, I have like bigger fingers. So I hate texting just in general. It's actually kind of funny. When I first came here, my then girlfriend, she made fun of me because of how awful I was at texting. And then later at the apartment, she saw me typing up an email. She's like, you type fast. Like she couldn't, like, cause she couldn't believe it because I was just like, okay. So it was all, so it's like she's making fun of me how bad I am on a phone with texting, and then how I mean, I'm not setting records or anything, but I'm pretty fast typing. So, and actually I don't type the right way either. I sort of, by the time typing classes were available, which I was in middle school by then, I had already just sort of learned my own weird way of typing. So it's kind of dominant with these fingers actually. Like the pinky and thumbs, I only use them for just a few keys. And I leave the home row too. Like I'll move my hands as I'm typing. It kind of reminds me if you've seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, like there's a scene where they ask him they're testing his aim, so he aims at like a can or something. He shoots and I think he misses, and he says, "Can I move?" What? And it's like, I'm better if I can move. And then he goes and he's kind of does this kind of like gun dance style. And then he like hits the can like 3 times in a row. So I'm like that with typing. So yeah, somebody's putting online gaming was my typing class. So yeah, I leave the home row constantly when I type. Let's see. Look at the comments. But yeah, I think it's been pretty cool that I've been able to see the evolution of technology of it. And I mean, I'm sure millennials can do this too, but well, some of them, maybe not all of them. That you know, if there was a world with no electricity or with no internet, I can adapt to that. I mean, yeah, I sure like internet, electricity, and modern conveniences, but it's my brain's wired to be able to handle life that's not without that. Where I don't know, especially younger generations. Again, we're stereotyping here. Obviously, it's not every last person. I think like if you're texting or using smartphones as a toddler, who knows what that does to your brain, you know? I mean, because you know, I was doing like Legos and blocks and stuff for that, you know, normal motor skills. Actually, I don't know if I may have mentioned this, but I still like this story. According to my parents, they were apparently I was like a little late with like mechanical aptitude stuff, and they were worried that like, oh, maybe we should take him to see someone to try to stimulate that. And like apparently the night they were asking that, I had managed to disassemble my crib and I escaped from the room. I have no memory of this. I was just a toddler, but I love hearing that. Once they saw that, they weren't worried about my mechanical skills. I somehow, so that might be why I like prison. I've always liked prison escape movies too. So maybe there's something deep in me with that, like being able to escape. So yeah, and I use games to escape. So yeah, okay. So man, too many questions. All right. So yeah, I'm 36. Let's see. Oh yeah. Well, that's not a bad question. Since you put your hardware through a lot of work hours, how often something happens that breaks down that you have to replace it? Is there some maintenance work that can extend the lifespan of your hardware? You know, it's actually, I've been incredibly lucky on that. I mean, geez, I'm using real old hard drives for some of them. I mean, I have a plan if they do break down. Yeah, okay, there was that time I accidentally dumped water into the opening of the case. I think that took out the motherboard. I think I got lucky. Everything else was okay. I think I replaced the motherboard on that. But it's been pretty rare. Some things you can do though. Yeah, I still have the SSD I got from the fundraiser. I still have the hand-me-down SSDs somebody else gave me because they were done with it and they were too small. So who knows how long it's been used. But yeah, things you can do. You might, for SSDs, you might want to get something that can, if they even sell them now, that aren't using like the triple cell version, or I think they even have quadruple cell version, because it's like a lot of the newer SSDs, they have higher capacities, but that directly comes at the cost of longevity due to how many times they write to the cells. I forget the sectors. I forget the exact explanation of it. There's a lot on that. But so actually the older ones may actually last longer. So I still have old ones, but for other things, for hard drives, I usually use Western Digital. I've had bad luck with, who's the other big? Seagate. I've generally had like worse luck with Seagate in the past. And then statistics have come out from data centers and stuff that show some models of Seagate tend to die sooner, that sort of thing. Get one area, okay, if you want longevity, 2 areas you don't want to go too cheap on. And that's the power supply. Get like a real name brand Like I think mine's silver or gold rated or something. They're usually using higher quality components, and memory is another one you don't want to go too cheap on. Yeah, you get memory. There's a lot of options, but you don't want to get an actual name brand you've heard of, like Corsair. I think I have Kingston in mine. Don't do like Happy RAM, yes, straight from Taiwan or something. Yeah, avoid stuff like that. But just a name brand that has a reputation. It doesn't have to be the priciest thing. It's more brand name. Actually, with power supplies, I don't know if this is still true, but I've heard one rule of thumb is the heavier it is, it's probably a better power supply. Let's see, but yeah, the gold and I just even have platinum ratings, that may help. That you don't necessarily need that. That's more like it's a better indicator. It's more like a correlation between a higher quality component than you necessarily needing a gold thing. I mean, a bronze thing might be all right too. It just depends. But what are some other things? For video cards, I think my current one is Palette. It's a European brand. I tend to, I guess I guess just check general reviews and see if there's ones that get a lot of RMAs. Let's see, for CPU, it's real unlikely it's going to die. Although one thing for motherboards, yeah, you might want to spend sometimes a little bit more. I don't overclock a thing. So I always, it's just not worth it to me now. In the old days, overclocking was just, oh man, it's like it's like black magic. You could just save. If you got lucky, you could save hundreds of dollars and back then, like, well, one of the infamous overclocks was like a 300 megahertz Celeron to 450. So that's a 50% boost, but not only was it a 50% boost, but we're talking what's considered the low end now, 300 megahertz to 450 megahertz. So there were so many things that made it faster on. Whereas now, the difference between a 2 gigahertz processor and like a 4 gigahertz or the technology, it really depends on what you're doing. On a lot of applications, you won't even see the difference. But man, back then, it's like the OS was faster, games were faster, applications were faster. I mean, it made such a big difference. So it's just not worth the risk to me. I value with my system, I value stability over speed just about every time. So, I mean, yeah, same with GPUs. I mean, some people still like to do that, but in fact, I think, I can't remember if there's this system, I can't remember if this happened or if we just talked, I think it was just talking about it. Oh yeah, like, that's right. Somebody offered to send me a choice of 2 different CPUs. They're both similar. Yeah, I gotta have a choice at one of them. And one of them was the Xeon, which you can't overclock. And the other one, you could overclock. And I was saying, if I got the one you could overclock, I would just run at stock speed. Like, I wouldn't want to, because that can stress out the motherboard components more, the more you're goosing it. So yeah, don't overclock. Try to get like name brand stuff. You don't need to get bleeding edge, top quality stuff. But if it's a motherboard that just has a good reputation, or you can overclock with it, that means they probably have higher end components. So yeah, so it varies depending on the component. But yeah, I've been really lucky actually, considering how long my stuff's lasted. Okay, and of course have a plan for your data if it does die, I guess. Man, okay, I'm going on too long. I gotta start being more discriminate here. I haven't gotten to the Life is Strange music stuff yet. I will at some point, though. I'll skip that. It's about VR and physics-based stuff. I don't have a strong opinion on that. My interest in VR is feeling like I'm in another world, man. If I have that and I can explore that world and not get sick, mission accomplished, Okay, some stuff about Volkadov, the wolfhound. or woke it up. V's and W's. I'm not sure what the first game are. You know how with memory, okay, somebody's asking the first game I remember having for myself and playing. You know how with memories, you sometimes don't remember everything, but you remember another thought associated with that? I remember this was not the first game I played, but I don't remember what the first game I played is. So the first game I remember playing that wasn't the first game, I think was like River Raid. I know there were some that I didn't, but I remember liking River Raid. It was kind of cool. You know, it's a simple game. You pilot a plane down a canal. Had good colors, you know. Oh, somebody's worrying about me spoiling the surprise on Game Dungeon episodes with me talking about him here. If I'm worried about that, I'll probably try to steer away from it. So don't worry about that too much. Or if I do it, I'll let it hide in plain sight, you know, so I'm not going into like real detail on it, that sort of thing. Go Illuminati with it, you know. Okay, that's way too broad a question. Vote this up next time if you want to. He's asking if there are other big name games I also consider overrated. I'm sure there's plenty. Well, I mean, that's an easy one. I think the original Super Mario Brothers is overrated. It's fun enough. It certainly was fantastic for the time. But man, there's other ones that are so much better now, I think. I mean, if you're one of these like speed running just fanatics, sure. Yeah, you know, maybe it has something about it no other one does and you love the intricacies. But I mean, would you rather play Super Mario or like Super Mario World? Or I haven't even played some of the newer ones. They might add even more fun stuff. So, or a bunch of other platformers. But that is an iconic game because it was it was like the first big popularized platformer that kind of did those mechanics. And the farther back in time you go, the more it kind of influences things. So, I mean, for getting that attention, so. But I could probably think of others. There could be more Game Dungeon arcade games. We'll see. Okay, these are sort of skippable questions. So sorry, I'm having to skip a lot more now. But I haven't even read this one, so. Oh, somebody's okay. This is a good question. This is a good question. Oh, he's asking my thoughts about video game addiction. Is it a thing for you? Should something be done about games willfully exploiting human weaknesses? How has society changed due to excessive gaming? And he says it's a real thing. It can mess up your life, according to the poster. A lot of people don't realize what they are getting into. Okay, so is it a problem for me? It is so rare that it's a problem for me that I welcome it. If a game is that enjoyable that I just can't put that sucker down, then awesome, because it happens to me so rarely. I have mixed feelings on this. This is one where I don't know if I mean, yeah, it for sure it's a real thing, but I guess there's one thing. Okay, I guess this may upset some people. Personally, I kind of enjoy hearing about the extremely preventable video game addiction ones that aren't like tragic. Like I've known someone who was like in a relationship for years, or I knew the girl, and then he graduated. He just sort of gave up looking for a job, not because he was depressed or anything, but no, he just gotta play his World of Warcraft. He was just playing World of Warcraft. So she was working as a hairdresser. They've been together years. I mean, like, more or less fine relationship. And then it's like, what he was the relationship was kind of getting more on the rocks, and like I think you're just talking about like visiting with her ex, and then she was saying like, no, he doesn't care. And like, it was just like, wow. And she's supporting him. So she was his sugar mama. So she was working as a hairdresser, supporting him. It's just like, yeah, he's graduated, but you know, he's not really looking for a job, but you know, I'm just gonna play World of Warcraft. So it's just like, it's like you fix any one of these things, it's like you have a chance, but it's like, no, let's just prioritize World of Warcraft over all of that. So see, even when I'm addicted, the rare times it's happened that I'm kind of addicted. When I say I'm addicted, it's probably run its course in 1 week, maybe 2 weeks max. So it doesn't just keep going on with me. Like, cause I'll just either get tired of it or just want to do something else but even if it was in the middle of that, if I know I have something really important, let's say I have a job interview the next day, I'm gonna make it to that job interview. Yeah, I might have cut my sleep more than I should have and just maybe not be as prepared as I should, but no, like I have certain fail safes in my brain that just cut in that like, no, I cannot do this. I have other things I have to do. So for me, there's some fail-safe measures, but I guess some people don't have that. But in this case, it's like, so you're risking your relationship, you're risking your financial support, so of being just out on the street, and you're like just throwing your career to the wind, even though you just graduated, and you're like ignoring student debts. And so it's like, there's like so many things. It's like, geez, maybe you should kind of like do at least some of this stuff to just try to patch up some of your life before you go back to playing World of Warcraft. And so I don't know. I kind of, to be honest, I find stories like that kind of hilarious. Now, if it's really tragic and people really get hurt by it, I don't like that. I don't like seeing people. But if it's just people really preventably screwing up their lives and then just having easy outs at like every stage. So it's not like you made one mistake and now your life's screwed up. Because that can happen with some people. You know, I don't like hearing about that because, but if it's just like every step of the way, there's like, yeah, I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah, I shouldn't be. Yeah, I shouldn't be. Like, I find that kind of fascinating hearing that about games because it's like, I don't think at some point the fail-safes kick in for me. And it's just kind of fascinating for me to just watch somebody, no, I'm gonna ruin my life. Like when I was in college, there was a guy we were talking to where he said his roommate just skipped the exam so he could play Counter-Strike. And it's not, and his roommate was saying, well, I could understand like, skipping a class or something, but to skip the exam, to skip the finals or like the midterms, like, at least show up and bubble in the answers. Maybe you could take a break from Counter-Strike to do that. Let's just hit the absolute bare minimum of that. So if you have stories about that you can kind of laugh at, absolutely send them to me. That was on my birthday list too. I just enjoy reading about them. In fact, I think it's in my liked videos on the YouTube channel. I recommend one. It's by the YouTube channel Stan Birdman. The U for bird, it's spelled with a U. And he has one video, it's called Awful Gaming Memories, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. He was just doing a joke with the title. And it's about Sonic 3D Blast. Go watch that if you want a good video game addiction story. It's so great. That one's still my favorite. And he tells it in a really great way. I don't want to spoil anything on that. But yeah, okay, so that's one half of it. There's sort of the fun watching people screw up their lives in just a fun and preventable way, that fun for you. But there's, but I guess there is, so there's that half of it, okay? Because I can't deny that. I find that stuff too funny sometimes. But the other half is when the people are really like causing are really hurting themselves and they know they have the problem. They're really trying to get out of it, but it's just kind of sucking them. Classic addict behavior. That's, in fact, I felt shortly before I did the game list, I'm not sure why, somebody thanked me for helping them kind of kick their gaming addiction. They said that, I didn't follow their logic at all, but they said that, like with Freeman's Mind or something, I showed them what games could be and it caused them to like uninstall stuff. I said, I told them I didn't know how they came to that conclusion, and I'm glad I helped them, but they may not want to watch my next video. You know, I warned them, yeah, you may want to skip that one about the game list, that it might even be relapse material. So, but hey, the games on my list, for what they're worth, a whole lot of them have endings. You know, they're not designed to, again, that's that 90% or more, I'm sure of. They're not designed to just do psychological tricks on you. Because, hey, I resent that. As someone who doesn't get addicted to those sorts of games, I don't like games that waste my time. If I'm spending a lot of time on the game, I want it to be because it's just genuinely that fun. Or I'm just so interested in the story that's coming up, or it's just a great world, I'm enjoying it. Not because you're putting some really obvious kind of grindy wall in between there to kind of play on like obsessive compulsive people to try to, or people with addictions to suck them in. I hate that crap. I mean, it's just, well, I'll quit the game. I mean, if I really like the story or something and you have that, oh, well, great, then I'll go watch a playthrough of it. I'm not gonna put up with that. I have so many other promising games that don't do that I could play. Now you can see, you know, so, yeah, somebody's talking about Secret World. Man, Secret World is just like right on the dividing line for me. Although with Secret World, I don't think they were trying to do it like that, or at least not to a great extent. I think it's more just, it's designed as an MMO where you have 5 people fighting the enemy and their kind of slow turn-based, or not exactly pseudo turn-based stuff makes sense. Well, I'll talk about that in the follow-up. But, so I resent games that do it really addictive. And as for what do you think about exploiting people? Well, it's not good. And it comes down to like a basic question of like, you know, the freedom for them to make what they want versus is this actually like harming society sort of thing. And that's always a fuzzy line. So I don't lean one way too much or the other because it's like I can kind of see both arguments. However, I'll say this, if they made all gambling tactics in games illegal, I don't think I'd shed a tear over it because those aren't the games I'm playing anyway. That when I think of my absolute favorite games, they're not doing that crap anyway. So, but that's just sort of like a happy coincidence for me in that case. So, boy, they can sick the dogs on them as far as I'm concerned, but you people can argue that's a slippery slope. I don't particularly enjoy gambling either, though. And I do think there should be warnings on that. Yeah, I'll agree on that. If you're doing that sort of stuff where money is involved, okay, we're not just, because some games will use like random number generation stuff to just to create like a really rare item that you only see once in every while. So it's almost like an Easter egg, or to kind of create that sort of allure to it, but it's not a core part of the game. It's just there as like a little treat, you know, just it's like an Easter egg. But there's no money behind it at all, or then I think that's okay. But if you have random number generation stuff that same tactics as like, you know, slot machines with gambling, absolutely slap warnings on that stuff. Because, you know, I mentioned how you can't ruin your life, you know, and just one night. If you're a gambling addict, you can ruin your life overnight. You know, I mean, you're not going to ruin your life just playing games overnight. But once you start bringing money into the picture, and these people know they have problems with it. Actually, I listened to to Jim Sterling's video on that. He had sort of his opus video, because that's a topic he cares about a lot. And he had these sort of testimonies from people who was really screwing up their lives. It's like, man, that just lit the fire under me even more to get the game list out. Because I'm just like, man, because this guy was talking about how he used to enjoy these franchises, but then he knows he has like kind of a gambling problem. But then they turn to these microtransaction loot box mechanics. Then they try another game, and then they turn to that. So I'm just like, man, here's the list. Check out the list, you know? Because I just want to like hand that list to it, because it's like, fine, you like gaming, you don't want to have predatory gambling, check out the list, man. I can't promise every single one won't do that, but you know, especially if it's not games as a service, then it's really safe chance. I'd say the odds go up to like 98, 99% on the list. So you're yeah, maybe avoid the MMOs, maybe avoid the free-to-play stuff. The 100% freeware stuff is probably safe on the list. Like, you know, the free mods, that's probably safe. So yeah, man, I want to give you guys the cure for if you have that problem. Because it's like a Venn diagram. It's like games that have a whole bunch of gaming mechanics. Games I'm most sincerely interested in. It's not a perfect circle, but there's a lot of overlap for that, you know? So, yeah, as far as, I don't have the strongest opinion on this. I think I'm glad people like, you know, Jim Sterling and others are kind of taking up the torch on this. I kind of wish more people would take up the torch on games being destroyed. So I figure the people who care about it the most should be the ones kind of leading the charge on this. And I certainly have zero problem with them banning all this stuff or slapping gambling warnings on it. Fine. Yeah, fine. Make it all mature or adult rated and just put, you know, gambling contains gambling. Fine. You know? Okay, so I'm going way over the time limit I meant to, so let me just check a few more. I'm skipping more stuff, sorry. The game list now has comments, so you can list opinions on that. How do you feel about getting suggestions to put on the big game list? I'd say the vast majority of them have not come from suggestions or I knew about by the time I got them, but you can send them to me. I mean, but like this, you're welcome to send me suggestions. I'm not promising replies, but in the emails, okay? Because I've got to catch up on more emails where people like really want to. I'll read it, I'll check it out, but I'm not promising replies. So. I would consider the Cave World an abandoned, he's talking about the English version, an abandonware game. Yeah, it's a mod for an abandonware, the English version, you know. Because, I mean, you can't buy that from the manufacturer, I mean, from the publisher. It's not online. It's abandonware, so. Okay, this is sort of a general question about streaming games. I'm not a fan, but it could possibly put more attention on the issue of killing games. Yeah, maybe, but it's certainly a double-edged sword. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the Games as a Service follow-up video when I do that. Okay, skipping more questions. Do you think that comedians should be judged by the society for insensitive jokes? It's like, I think people should be aware of the comedian's style. I mean, I'm someone who doesn't mind offensive jokes if they're sincerely funny. Because, you know, but a lot of people are not going to get that. And you know what? That's going to go on. I think that's something that's just as old as humanity itself. You know, there's going to be some jokes that some people find funny, and there's some people that just don't see them as jokes. They just cross the line for them personally. So it's always going to rub people the wrong way. So if you're a comedian, I guess, and you're telling this guy the jokes, you better have tough skin. I guess thick skin. That's the same thing because it's inevitable. It's inevitable. So, but I mean, yeah, I guess they should be judged. But I guess the thing is, the people judging them may not realize that it's not as, I guess, caustic as the comedian means. They may not get it as it's a joke, and it's just I like comedy in general, you know. So it just varies, you know. But yeah, I think the main story is that the comedians better have thick skin. So. Okay, thoughts on the old Star Trek films. And that's another instance where just about all of them have stuff I like and I don't like in them. I think 6 might be the one where I'm not sure it has anything I just didn't like. So, and like all the others have stuff I don't like, even though they have stuff I really do like. Although 2 is pretty good too. But yeah, so maybe 2 and 6 are the ones that just have stuff I don't like. Because like the first one's real slow and doesn't always feel like Star Trek, but at the same time, that movie is a trip. Like the motion picture one, I mean that one's like maybe more imaginative than any other Star Trek. So, and like 4 is fun, but it gets like almost stupid at parts. And like I don't know, I like, but the rule of thumb for me of Star Trek is the more science fiction, less soap opera, and it's a winner for me. That doesn't matter what series it's from. The more you inverse that ratio, the more I'm gonna not like it. So I'm there for the science fiction. Okay, I know I've answered that. Some people answered that in the chat. Okay, I'll answer this quick. If you're doing a writing task, would you prefer more or less specific? Oh no, okay, it's a different question. I don't know. I'd rather write about whatever I think sounds the neatest. That can be open-ended or it may not be. What games have you played for fun since the last video chat? I actually did a few this time. I did, they were mostly smaller ones. Super Rude Bear Resurrection. It got so hard. I ended up giving up on it. I felt like it didn't hit its full potential. It was onto a good thing, but didn't put off. I played Slipstream. That was the new one. That was one of the games that I got with the GOG I asked for. It's basically an Outrun clone, the original Outrun. I'd say it doesn't have a bunch of replay value, but it's like 80s overdose almost. But it's a fantastic atmosphere. It's like the equivalent of a really tasty snack. That's what I would say about it. I played something else too. I started playing some of Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. It's a big game though. I haven't beat it. It's a Diablo knockoff. The cooldowns suck, but I'm enjoying it otherwise. So, especially as the class I'm playing at. I think I found a class that works for me in that. The constructor. Okay, let's see. I'm skipping a bunch of questions, sorry. I spent a lot of time on the earlier ones, but they were good. Okay, I'll answer this. I just glanced at it. What do you think of Wolfenstein Young Blood? And I saw YouTube recommended a video looked like it's terrible. It's like it's the second worst game I played this year. And I was like, okay. And my impression, just from kind of skimming the video, was it looked like it had a lot of gameplay problems. The story, the writing looked pretty bad. The environment looked gorgeous. So it's another one of those games where man, I want to harvest this map and this world and walk around in it in VR. There's a lot of games I feel that way about. So, but okay, that aside, I was thinking, hey, maybe people, because I had the same thought about that new Commander Keen they announced. If you have a sequel to something, man, you are really trying to swim upstream if the franchise has always been about one character and now you're playing their son or their daughter. Like, because the people who like the franchise like that character. So it's like you're automatically starting in this weird nepotism kind of have to falling under their shadow space. It's not impossible. You can pull it off, but that means that their progeny has to be equally as cool as the original. So when has a game pulled that off? Like, you like the original character, like you think they're great, but time has passed and they want to move the story forward in the future. So now you're playing like their son or their daughter. I mean, I guess King's Quest sort of did that. I mean, because you play as Graham's son, you play as Rosella, the daughter. Okay, so King's Quest did it because, well, they were never really strong characters anyway. You were enjoying playing the fantasy adventure, and the characters were sort of secondary. I mean, the protagonist. Okay, somebody's saying Red Dead, so I don't know the specifics on that. I'm not familiar with their story, but it's like, I don't want to see that. I want to see. I want to see the main character. You don't want to see the main character Junior. You want the real thing. And even if you have to move on from the main character, well, fine. Bring in a new character that's cool in their own way. Not just trying to live up to the original. And so I'm thinking it feels like such a mistake to me to do that for Commander Keen or for Wolfenstein New Blood. Yeah. It's like we don't want to play as BJ's daughters. We want to play as BJ Blazkowicz and have them go Ashmore Nazis. So, or if we can't play, or if we have to have a new character because we want to set it in the 80s, well, then let's get somebody. Well, if you're smart, which I guess they're not because they could have established that from the New Order onward, or maybe even earlier, you get like a young character that you met that was kind of cool. Like, okay, here's a perfect example. Indiana Jones, all right? We don't want to see a movie about Indiana Jones Jr. If we have to have a new character, one, you either have a replacement for Indiana Jones, so it's kind of like James Bond, so it's like he either never aged, we just changed the character is the same, but the actors change. Or you know who I'd rather see than Indiana Jones Jr.? I want to see Short Round. Okay, he's all grown up. Fine. What's Short Round up to? He was pretty cool in the earlier in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Maybe he could carry a side movie or something like that. So you get another character, preferably one that you've established earlier as like a real cool one. And then if like so then they're picking up the torch for the franchise, So I would, yeah, I mean, it's, okay, somebody's saying, what about Castlevania games? Castlevania, they've managed to pull that off. They were smart about that because, well, for one, the Belmont's character was never like, oh, that's the whole focus of the game. That's why people are playing it. You could totally replace Belmont with any generic sort of sprite almost and just keep everything else the same and it works. So that wasn't like a real strong character to begin with. Plus, it sort of works because the character changes completely with the time period. And the oh yeah, they did that with like Gears of War too, didn't they? It's like, I played the first Gears of War and I watched playthroughs of the 2 and 3. It's like, well, hey, I like Marcus Phoenix. I want to see more of him. I don't want to see his kid. Or, if we're going to have a new guy, well, let's have this new guy kind of be cool also and not have the nepotism shadow, So, yeah, but Castlevania is a little different because it's almost like the vampire hunter of that time, it's more like they're just kind of a representative of their time period. So more like Assassin's Creed or something like that, where it's more like they're a caricature of the time period to represent them. I think so. But yeah, it's worked for that. So, okay, man, I got way off topic. I gotta have some time for live questions, even though it's going on 3 hours. Okay, so next time I guess I'll do 10 questions. Opinion on Google Stadia. You will hear my opinion about it in the future on the Games as a Service follow-up. Okay. Okay, you can start putting 3 equal signs in the live chat in front of your question, and I'll try to answer some of them. Sorry, I ran on so long this time. Okay. And I mentioned the Epic Store, my opinion on that, though if you want a rehash of my opinion on it, just get it voted up again next time. Okay, so. Would you say your Game Dungeon format is all inspired by Plinket's review format? I see some structural similarities. I think I saw the Plinket video after, I think I saw their videos, period. I think the famous one is the Star Wars prequels review. I saw those after I started doing Game Dungeon, I think, and for sure it could be an inspiration because, I mean, it's like I see things, I see some videos, it's like, man, I wish I could nail it that well, So it's probably having a subconscious impact. I'm not sure at what point I saw that video. So, but it's, and the guy's still bugging me about Montage Rock. Okay, I'll try. I wrote it down on my notes here. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I've been working a lot. Even though my temptation was to go play a bunch of games after the game list, I'm just like, no, if I do that, I'm going to fall behind in the next video. I got to get, so I'm trying to get the next one out as soon as I can. Yes, I will continue the Lacard Chronicles too. I've been playing that off and on live stream. I think now though, I kind of want to wait till the weather's cooler because that feels like a fall or winter game to me. Lots of cold weather in that game. So, and plus, it has vampires, so I associate that more with Halloween. So it's better like a fall game. Russ, do you have any idea how good a third eye would look on your forehead? I can believe it, but oh well. I don't know if I'm warmed up to the whole third eye thing yet. Okay. Something's mentioning something about Fortress Forever. I know a lot. It's Mode 7. Yeah, I know a lot. I was there for the transition of Fortress Forever. So I may know even more about it than you do. So, do you go to the gym? And yes, how often? No, I don't go to the gym, but I have some dumbbells. I'm trying to get back on track. I kind of neglect it more than I should. Like I run every single day, pretty much. Run or go on a hike, but I kind of neglect. Well, for a while I had a strain, but I saw, or what was it? Some sort of strain in my arms, but I saw a physical therapist, so now I know exercises I can do to get back on track without like tearing my muscles or something. So I got to get back into it. When I was more, ideally I'm doing that multiple times a week. So, I mean, I have some dumbbells, I can do pull-ups and like I have a pull-up bar. So I'd rather just save time and do it here, than join a gym or something. Do you plan to add a mod section to your games list? Not really, but if it's like enough of a mod to, hey, you can leave that in the comments. Okay, I guess not if it's for, okay, no, I guess you can't because the mod would be for well-known games. If it's a mod to really kind of be on like standalone material, I'll treat it as its own game. I already have some some mods on there that are like that. But if it's just a mod, it can be cool, but I don't know if I want to. Well, hey, if people really want that, maybe I could have a separate mods list, but I kind of want something different. I mean, again, if it's close to standalone material, then sure, we'll put it on there. Okay, I'm itching to blow some humanoids face off. What should I play apart from Doom or Painkiller? Well, of course, there's the Serious Sam series. It was feeling a bit dry to me, but maybe I should give it another pass. There's the Hard Reset game. What are some... Maybe the chat can help you out. I'm trying to think of the ones that just... Well, the Wolfenstein The New Order was good. I like that one. Okay, my wife's knocking on the door. I should probably close this up too. It's been 3 hours. Yeah. Oh, she's Magda. Well, actually, you're my wife, but... Magdalena the Great. Okay. She said, oh, okay. I don't know if you can hear that on the mic or not. This is a bit of a directional mic.
Well, it's so late, Rose. I mean,
okay, she's saying it's late. Okay, so I'll wrap this up real quick then. Okay, let me. I'm sorry I'm skipping some of the live questions, but. Well, hey, the way to combat this is next time submit questions and just try to upvote the ones you really want to hear, because this is a triage thing. I'm not trying to neglect people. It's just the. Let's see. That's a real specific question. String instruments in video games, or concept art that you would love to see in real life. Oh, countless for concept art. I mean, I'd have to think about it, but well, hey, check out the birthday video I did. I talked some about that. I cover that question very close to what you're talking about. I haven't tried Stalker in VR in 4PX yet. I haven't tried a lot of stuff in VR yet. I'm kind of waiting until I get like a better headset. I don't have controllers either, but I don't need that for existing games. I mean, for non-VR games. Okay, this was answered last chat. Since I'm a child of the 80s, my opinion on synthwave, retrowave music. And it's like, yeah, I think it's great. A lot of it. Okay, somebody's asking about, I'll answer this. This is a good question. How I'm not big on anime themes in video games. Oh yeah, that was the other game I tried out. Headliner Novi News. That had strong anime themes, maybe not technically being anime, but had a great concept. It's about controlling the news to see what people see and what they don't, and then watching the effects. I thought the game was so-so, but it has a great concept. It's on the list. I gave it the hazy rating because fantastic concept, but try again. It was sort of my feeling. Yeah, they're talking about the anime style. If it was just like the look of anime, but they acted like completely like normal people and everything, then yeah, I would probably warm up to anime a lot more, because that's what gets me. It's that melodrama and like the pose stuff and sort of the cheesy moments. It's like real people don't act like this. Even Japanese real people don't act like this. So if you get, the closer you get to realistic human behavior, the more I'm going to warm up to anime. So, but even then I can appreciate like the worlds, the music, that sort of thing. Okay. I don't have immediate visitation plans because that's kind of, for travel plans, because that's kind of a, I'm married too, so you know, it has to be someone who can both coordinate, and she can have her anxieties, so I'm not trying to push anything like that. Let's see, plus I'm so busy. I would like to visit that alpine sled thing I've seen in Austria, though. I saw a video on that looked really fun. I don't have a strong opinion on diesel punk. It can be fine. Somebody's asking about that. Russ, why do you stick with these seasonal preferences like winter or autumn? But just now, previous videos, you like playing games that snow during the winter. Why? Do you treat videos the same way? Yeah, I do. It's because I just get more into it. Like if it's like real like cold and foggy weather, everybody's wearing jackets. Well, man, I want to watch that in the fall or the winter when it's cold. So it's like I get more in the mood for it. Where if it's just like a tropical thing on the beach, lots of jungle, you know, everybody's in shorts or not wearing shirts. Yeah, watch that in the summer. It's better for that. Like, so yeah, I just get more into it. I just get more into it. So yeah, it is for movies too. I'll put off movies if like if it's a movie with snow everywhere, like yeah, save that for winter. So I get into the mood for stuff, man. Okay, I should probably wind this up. Let's see. When you put up a game soundtrack list on your site as well. Well, I think we need to hold that hostage with my game, with the organization. I need my system. I need my system, then all will be unleashed, you know? Magdalena's Twitter is Amazing Magda, if you want to check that out. She uses it more like normal Twitter. She actually told me one that I thought was great the other day. It was something like, it's like little ducks on water slides are great, not like the current global economic system or something. I thought that was a great tweet. Ross, do you think our world is headed toward the cyberpunk-esque future? I talk about this in the Robot Jobs video. I think our closest, we're going to see more technology, but other than that, I think Soylent Green's the closest for where we're going. Okay, maybe I shouldn't end it on that. Well, I'm getting hungry. Maybe I should end it on that. How do you view the moral white, gray, black standpoints? Well, you know what? I think we figured it out towards the beginning. I think a black and white view works if the overwhelming majority of humanity agrees with it. So, but if it's like complete black and white, that doesn't work either. Because I mentioned, okay, I want to get off lighter topics. Like let's say, okay, well, let's say something like murder. Like vast majority of humanity is against murder. However, let's say it's in self-defense, you know, or killing. Well, then a whole lot of people are going to be for that because then it's either you or them, and the aggressor's coming after you. So, you know, but if you're 100% black and white on that issue, then even that isn't allowed. So I think you need some flexibility, but if it's stuff like 90% or more of humanity agrees with, then yeah, it's probably safer to take a more black and white stance on it. So, okay, I'm gonna go eat. I'm getting hungry and I was saying I should stop anyway. So thanks for checking this out. You have games you can play. I'm working on more videos. I have games I can play, but I'm working on more videos. So maybe I can balance it out. So, all right, I'll see you later. Yeah, I'm happy ending this talking about the game list. I mean, yeah, now you see what I see, or some of it. All right, see you later.